Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brewbuilt Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brewbuilt line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brewbuilt Conicals. You can trust Brewbuilt with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brewbuilt at morebeer.com.
Great beer is about drinkability. Doesn't matter the style.
You guys are like walking beer Wikipedia. That's the first time that you've ever accepted me as a person.
Or you have a fermentation in your gut.
I'm jet propelled at all times.
How many guys do you think that you have the privilege to slap?
Somebody who's never tasted a commercial example, and this is how you know everything about this beer? Please, you don't.
I think that's bullshit.
I think it's bullshit too.
Wow. Are you guys going to arm wrestle?
No.
We're going to teabag fight. Yeah. You heard of Junkyard Wars?
Can I get another high five, Beavis?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Good day, boys and girls. Welcome to The Session. I'm your host today, Justin Crosley, joined by Warren Beardy Billups.
Oh, I didn't know who you were talking about at first.
In the studio.
Hi, Justin.
Along with... What's your middle name?
Lauren.
Shimke.
Kim Lauren Shimke. Kimberly Lauren Shimke. Hanging out in the studio with us today. Along with Beverly Bevo Moore.
That's her middle name?
People complain sometimes I don't introduce everybody.
Close enough.
So...
It's Michelle.
Michelle?
Basic white girl middle name.
Yeah, I wish you had never... I could have gone our whole life without knowing that was your middle name.
I'm
Beverly
disappointed.
Michelle Moore.
You were already basic, and now...
God, I want a pumpkin spice latte so bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our crew today.
Yeah.
Everyone else is either dead or just playing hooky. I don't know.
We can only
Maybe
hope.
dead.
You know, it's like the more I care, I feel like when I don't care about the show, everyone gets all up in arms. They start caring about it. When I care, when I start to become present and care, everyone's like, sweet, we don't got to do shit.
Right. Maybe that's what they do. They coast now.
Yeah. It's coasting.
Did you know that Dr. Homebrew has tagged the studio and there's a label on the back of your monitor now?
Is there really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I have to stare at it all show.
Is it at least is it a good label, or is it Dr. Does it just say Dr. Homebrew?
Yeah, it says Dr. Homebrew and has a bottle with a plus sign on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Dr. Homebrew logo.
Oh,
is it this right here?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. It's on your monitor.
Did who printed
Brian had those made from Grog Tag.
Oh, I see. It's funny that our hosts have to have their own stickers made for the shows because I won't do it. Nobody asked me, actually, but...
What do we need stickers for?
I don't know. Stick on monitors.
Apparently, in our own studio.
Apparently.
What show
But
is
at
this?
least it can just peel off.
Yeah. That's a shitty monitor anyway. I don't care. I don't have to see it.
Do you have a white marker and I can write sucks underneath?
That probably would be. They're sensitive. Hosts get sensitive after doing the show for a while. Not co-hosts. You co-hosts are rock stars. You can take my abuse left and right. But once you get your own show, y'all get sensitive. Everyone gets sensitive
because it's all they have. Let them have it.
Is that what it is?
Oh, that's
well,
their
they
identity.
accepted the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
I just keep thinking they're going to make a fortune or something, and then you say one bad thing. Oh,
there goes my retirement.
you don't like Dr. Homebrew anymore? Why not?
I thought we were friends.
We're doing such a good job. Actually, Dr. Homebrew is doing a good job.
They are.
They got a little spike in listenership, though, when I co-hosted a couple shows. I noticed that.
Of course they would.
Took a look at the numbers, and by little spike, I mean big spike listenership when I took over JP's job at HomebrewCon.
Some of us are born with bigger spikes than others.
Yeah, but don't let that get out, because I don't want to have to do that regularly.
No, I won't tell them.
Yeah. We got a great show for you tonight. I'm excited about this. A new company out of New Zealand called Hop Revolution is going to be on the program. They are the proprietors of what is now the largest single hop farm in New Zealand, in the entire country of New Zealand, which I think fits like in Concord.
Right, it's not a big country.
Still the largest.
It's the size of the hop grenade.
Yeah, their acreage, it's like 4 acres. I don't know what. No, they're and they flew out to Concord to do the show with us.
They know we're not a brewery, right? We can't actually buy hops.
I mean, I didn't elaborate.
Oh, okay.
I just said, sure, come on out, the hop grenade.
They know we're not a network of breweries.
Actually, it's a great story, which I'll wait for them to be in here, about how we became connected. But they came out to the U.S. to do our show. How cool is that?
Awesome.
So they really came out to San Francisco.
Well, listen.
And visit.
I mean, listen, maybe they had a couple of brewery visits on their stop, but you're going to find out that the one of the founders and in her bio she says plant scientist. Maybe they just try to keep things simple in New Zealand. Like we would say botanist, right? But
okay.
We'll find that out. Anyway, no, she flew in last night and for the show and is flying out tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, take that shit.
It's not crazy. It's amazing. See, so
it is amazing.
So you brewers out there, when you finally get that invite you've been waiting for all these years,
your golden ticket.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't even have Skype. I don't know how to. I haven't used a computer before.
I've got a landline.
Can you call my landline? Can you call my rotary phone? Yeah. You just remember that Hop Revolution flew across the Earth.
Yeah.
Across the Earth.
Even an ocean.
Across the planet. They changed hemispheres.
Oh, wow, that's right.
So
they came from the upside down.
I don't want to hear the... I don't know. I have my kids tonight. Can we make it a 4-minute interview? Would that be fine? Can you call my landline for 7 minutes and then I have to go?
I have a brew day to start in the morning.
Yeah.
Get the kettle boiling.
Yeah. Oh, sorry for all the free publicity. I'm sorry for the 10,000 people that are going to hear you in the next month when you're on the show.
It's taken you 13 years, but I'm glad you finally apologized for that, Justin.
How long is the interview? The battery on my iPhone's not so good anymore. It dies every 37 minutes.
I think my phone is not... My connection...
Yeah. Is it okay if I stand out in the barn where the connection's not very good when I do the interview with all the free publicity that you're going to give me? And we're just like, yeah,
I like
fine.
that you're just becoming more belligerent.
Yeah.
But please come on the show.
Yeah, but please do the show,
All bookings are done through me, and I'm much more polite.
That's a problem.
Are we good? Did they bring beer, or are we going to just be chewing on hops?
We're just going to drink We're just going to drink beer. You can drink that bottle of Black Label in front of you if you want.
Are there hops in this? New Zealand hops?
They're a brand new hop farm. Okay. I'm not certain that any of their hops are in beer yet, but we will find that out.
That early?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's that early, and it's just a cool way that we found out about them too, which I think people will. I found it funny, and it's very endearing to me. I'll save you the story, but just know it's an endearing story. They're kind people, and I don't run into that very often in the particular way that we found each other.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give you that story when they come on the program.
Cool.
Yeah. It's bingo night. Do I have to? Do you do it any other days but Monday? Can we record on Wednesday at 9:17 a.m.? I have a free window then.
I usually catch up on Jeopardy DVRs Monday night, so could we move it to Tuesday, please?
Yeah. Sorry for all the
Free publicity?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'd be like, yeah, let me just run that by the team.
What's our total social media reach right now? Give me like a rough number. Add them all together and give me like a rough number. We're
Justin
like,
wants to get upset again.
Yeah, like
They're
100,000.
No, there's yeah. They're also different. We have like
I get it, but just give me a total. Just don't make it complicated. About 100,000, right? Sorry for the 100,000 people that Kim Shimke is going to send a link to your show and your website and your product to.
Oh, I don't always do that.
Yeah. Almost as many followers as she has herself.
I know. Still makes me upset. Anyway, those Kiwis, though, they're ready to go.
They're nice people, I've heard.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if they are.
Are they like Canadians nice?
I think they're nicer.
I think they're nicer.
They probably are.
Which is hard to believe, right? I know some Canadians, and I think they're nicer.
Well, we're Canada's neighbor, so we probably
But we're dicks.
have bad influence. Exactly. And we're so close. So they're, isolated enough that if
Yeah.
they're nice people, no one's tainting that.
Right. I hope it rubs off on me. I almost got in a fight with a senior citizen this morning.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was being a dick.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Sounds like it.
Thank you. See, this is why Beardy and I get along.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I like it when people don't question me. Just fucking leave it. Just take it at face value.
And this is why I don't understand why I'm still employed by you. I question everything.
He
What are
probably
you
just
thinking?
didn't his, his,
I just don't listen.
hearing mechanism thing was not
Doesn't
functioning
work.
properly.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah, I was on the golf course.
Was he walking too slow?
No, I didn't do it. He was yelling at me. He started yelling at me for no reason. I was being polite. He was on the tee box at my tee time. And I was like, oh, hey, do I go first? Do you and he's grumbling a bunch of stuff. He doesn't really answer my question. And a couple minutes go by, and I'm like, still just being polite. Like, do you want me to go? There seems to be a backup here. And he starts yelling, yeah, go! And I'm like, what the And then later...
Like, was he all set up, ready to go?
No! What the fuck he's yelling at me for? And I was like, all right, I'm just being polite and checking in with you. You're standing on the tee box.
Right.
It's my time to go. I don't know.
Do you have, like, a big
and then
party?
later, like, a few... Now, so he, so I go.
Okay.
He's yelling at me, the old fuck. And then a few holes later, I'm not the best golfer in the world, so I hit into the other fairway, Oh,
his fairway?
Nowhere near them. It wasn't like that. I hit another ball because I was like, well, mulligan.
Yeah.
But I ran over to get my ball, and I picked it up. He starts yelling at me, hey! All right! Is that my ball? Is that a Callaway 3? And now I'm just like, yeah.
Listen, Tiger Woods.
You fucking, you dick. I don't know what my ball looks like. What I thought I would do is run right in front of you and pick up your ball and then run away.
Yeah.
It's not like mini golf where they're color-coded, okay?
And I would have gotten away with it, too.
Actually, it was fucking color-coded because I use a bright yellow ball so I can find the damn thing.
Uh-huh.
So you're just being spiteful at that point.
He's yelling at me. And I did. I was like, yeah, it's your ball. I came over here right in front of you, and I grabbed your ball, and now I'm going to run away with it. And he didn't have too much to say, especially when he looked down and found his goddamn ball. Because, of course, I'm not I'm stealing balls from senior citizens now?
Right.
Sully, have I ever stolen anything from you?
No, but on my way here.
Oh, wait, I turned you off because you weren't here.
You stole his mic.
There you go.
You stole my mic. But on the way here, I was listening to the show. I heard you had a concern about some golf balls, so that's why I'm late. I was stopped at
you were picking up some golf balls.
shop.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you're covered.
So now I've just been grumpy all day because of this guy.
How'd your game end up? Did he get in your head?
No, not till after, actually.
Okay.
He bothered me, but then it was when I left, and I was just like, yeah, and another thing. Just like angry, just stewed.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's he so angry about? He's retired. He's on the golf course. I don't know.
You didn't meet up in the club afterwards?
No, I left because I don't want to get in a fight with a senior citizen.
Well, as an older person,
thank you.
You go two different directions as you get older. You either don't give a shit and you just kind of like you become calmer, or you're like your friend.
Worse. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That you might become.
I'm clearly going to become.
He's on the path.
That was like future Justin.
Yeah.
Did you ask him what his
Pretty
name
much.
was?
Yeah. Funny enough. Anyway, no one wants to hear about all that. Too late, though. Okay. Hop Revolution's on the program today, like I mentioned. Let me get through a couple of quick announcements. Announcements brought to you today by Drake's Brewing Company. Go to drinkdrakes.com and check out their new Sizzle Fizz Double Brute IPA, Beardy, on the shelves now.
Sizzle Fizz.
Sizzle Fizz. Good name.
Yeah.
Double Brute IPA by Drake's Brewing Company. Go to drinkdrakes.com. You can find out where you can find your own. Most of our announcements today are how to support us. You can do your Amazon shopping by clicking the Amazon link. That's a great way to do it. You can also subscribe and join the BN Army, and for as little as $2 a month, you're entered into the More Beer monthly donation giveaway. More Beer brings you this show and every session that we do, and it's a chance to win $100 to spend over at More Beer. They've been doing that for years, and make sure your email is up to date in PayPal, because that's how we reach out to you. We draw one winner every month. But yeah, not just $100 that you might get for More Beer, but it's just a great way to keep this content alive, keep this program going. And you can sign up over on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Is anything exciting happening on our social medias lately, Kim Shimke?
There's a photo of hops.
Okay, for today's show?
Yeah. I was going to post one of Beardy, but I'm like, I think people will like the hops better.
I see.
That's smart move.
We need a bunch of hops in Beardy's beard.
Oh yeah, meat in hops.
Yeah,
but that's like already a thing. That's a beer. That's what is it? Auburn Ale Houses.
Oh really?
Yeah.
They already do that.
They have me in hops on their label.
It's like a ZZ Top thing. It's basically you.
Oh, I see.
So I need to sue them.
Have you done anything like unique or exciting or different on our social media recently? You know,
I give the people touching stories, like the one you told me.
Really? Like what?
Hating old people on the golf course?
No, about the winning club member, Will.
Oh, did you put that out there?
I did.
That was a touching story.
Yeah, it was. And you just sent me the link, and you said, "Here, give this a read." But I didn't really understand what the context was before I opened the link, and I made the mistake of reading it at work.
Oh.
And I'm like bawling.
Oh no!
At work.
It was a nice story. Go over to. Is it on our Facebook page now?
It's on Facebook. Yeah, it's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And it's over. The story itself, the original story, is over at the Homebrewers Association, the American Homebrewers Association website, which is homebrewersassociation.org. And we did this nationwide competition, this club competition, where we teamed up with Melvin Brewing Company and More Beer. And we had 6 finalists and then a winner. And one of the 6 finalists, the club beer that they chose, was from a club member who died recently in a bicycle accident.
Oh boy.
And the AHA did this whole write-up on it. The club was quite proud and felt that it was a cool thing. All 6 of the finalists, their beers are getting brewed by Melvin, so they were quite happy that his spirit was living on in the beer that he created, and Melvin's going to brew it and put it in a can and send it to their local region. So that was a good story, Kim.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was really sad, but I think what they're doing with it is really awesome. It's like a way of his spirit living on and something that he loved.
You could tell the club was really upbeat's not the right word. Finding a positive moment in this and a way for them to honor their friend.
They were celebrating his life rather than mourning in the moment.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it. Thank you. I'm finally thankful that you're here.
That's why I do the words.
You know, that's why you word for us. All right. Send your feedback over to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. You can send your show ideas there, too. We love to hear from you, as you know. No feedback is too small, right, Sully?
It's any size. One word.
Yep.
Couple of pages.
Yep.
Take the time to do it.
I think we got some feedback from Ian Titus this week.
Did you?
Yeah.
He needs like a theme song, like an intro, like Ian Titus speaks.
You're right. I do need to go find that. All right. I'll work on that.
It's out there.
It's out there. All right. Before we get to our feedback, though, JP is out yet again today. Don't worry. I hear he's healthy and not dead or anything like that.
That's Karen on his phone texting us.
Yeah, maybe he's
fine.
He's buried under the house.
This is me, Jason, telling you I won't be making it.
Right. So instead, I'm sure that Beardy put together a Twitter game?
Probably.
Great.
It's not like last week where you just like a JP Twitter game, but
asking, yeah,
what JP
outsourcing.
Yeah, Twitter was so bad with their ideas. JP didn't come back this week, so
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Still there.
Good job, guys.
Cranking it out.
Our Twitter game is brought to you today by the Wine and Hop Shop. Go to wineandhop.com. Most of their items ship within 24 hours, and Brewing Network listeners get $8 flat rate shipping on orders under 25 pounds. Just enter BN shipping in the notes field of the shopping cart, and the discount will be taken after you check out. And if you're in Madison, Wisconsin, order your homebrew supplies online at wineandhop.com, and then pick them up at Working Draft Beer Company, located on Wilson Street, right across from Central Park. They will waive the shipping and give you half off your first beer. Go to wineandhop.com. What's our Twitter game, Beardy?
So, I was inspired by I was surprised how many listeners reached out to me after coming back from Alaska, excited that I was still alive.
Really?
Yes.
I'm surprised by that, too.
Because you mentioned even
what are
in
we
Colorado.
Talking, 2, 3?
I mean, really, it was just one, but,
okay.
you know.
but was very happy.
He asked, yes, right, yeah. He sounded a lot like my dad.
Interesting.
But, and I was just really surprised by the outpouring, and it made me think that, wow, I do have a lot of friends out there, despite what you guys say.
Sure. Okay.
And so I wanted to quiz everybody with something that friends should know about each other.
Okay.
And really test this friendship now.
Yeah.
Now that it's established.
Right.
And so I'm quizzing them and wanting to know what my favorite color is.
What is Beardy's favorite color?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like the Guess My Number game. Your Twitter games get worse by the week.
I'm hoping to get Jason back here by any means necessary.
I thought you were onto something. I thought the question was going to be, what should a friend know about a friend? Because that's open to all sorts of things.
Yeah, I was
right?
thinking that too. I was like,
not just
you
what's
didn't finish the sentence.
Yeah, just what's. Did you already type it out and send it into?
I can make it happen again if you want to edit it.
I mean, I do feel like
an amendment.
If we just read a bunch of colors.
Yeah, it's going to be a one-word response. Hello. Oh, you're wrong.
But what should a friend know about a friend? Would be, fine. Is that okay that we do that?
Yeah.
We edit your work?
Also, aren't you colorblind?
See, that's why I included it about me, because I thought that would open it to all of the shitty vision jokes and, this is a trick question and blah, 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 blah.
I see.
See, jokes aren't funny if you
But
have
I'm
to
a friend,
explain
and I
them.
knew
Right,
that.
because you guys are dumb and couldn't wait till the end of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
you ruined the
For all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put them both out there. Answer
that's
either question.
Too confusing. There's only 140 characters or however many there's on Twitter.
All right.
You're welcome for being a friend.
Yeah.
Fine. So what's the Twitter game, Justin?
What should a friend know about a friend?
Okay.
Right? If they're really your friend, I know some things about Sully. Sully's my friend.
Would you say that, Sully?
Yeah, what are you going to?
I'm not going to say it on air.
Yeah, don't say that,
no,
please.
Yeah.
Because I could do the same for you.
Because we're friends.
And we're friends. And that's why we're not going to say anything.
Right.
We know something about each other.
Right. Shimky, on the other hand, I don't even know her fucking name half the time.
It's true.
So
I didn't know how to pronounce your last name until I heard it on the air here. I kept like, hey, Kim.
I actually don't know how they know. I don't know that we ever talked about it.
I thought it was
or
just
if
a
we did,
sneeze.
how do you remember it?
I have a feeling that it's not even, they're not even saying it correctly, and you just let this goof go on.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Like your parents are listening going like, what the hell is going on there?
Oh, God, no.
Shimky? Yeah.
I don't tell them I'm on air, please. No.
They don't
need to hear this.
They don't know you're on the Brewing Network, even?
No, they do.
Okay.
But they my dad, because he doesn't have an Instagram account, he actually logs on to a computer and Google searches the Brewing Network on Instagram.
Right.
Him on Instagram.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's do a little bit of feedback. Feedback's brought to you today by the Beer Law Center. Of course, you can go to beerlawcenter.com, check it out. They do a great job protecting my trademark. They can do the same for you. Also, they can do brewery filings, especially if you're in North Carolina. You're going to want to check them out. They specialize in all legal things beer over at beerlawcenter.com. And tell John that we sent you. He's a good guy. All right. Clayton writes in. This is a little bit about it's not much to this. It's a little bit about my Rolling Stones concert story last week. And he just kind of says, you were talking about going to a Rolling Stones concert last episode. I, too, have been to a Stones concert. I was 8 in 1988, and I wanted to see Guns N' Roses. Living Colour opened. Anybody else remember Living Colour besides me?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, not the show, although I remember that as well, but the band. Didn't mean much because I was 8, and Living Colour wasn't cool among my very discerning peers. Anyway, eventually I fell asleep, and then I woke up during Honky Tonk Woman, and there were very large blow-up women on stage. I do remember being there, nothing else too specific. Didn't get a T-shirt because I didn't do my homework before the show. Was bummed about the shirt. I still remember it 31 years later, but not bummed enough because I still didn't do any homework for another 10 years. Then, it's more commentary. Sully talked about no one wanting to see Prince at his Rolling Stone concert. And that reminded me that folks went to Black Sabbath concert and the Ramones got bottles thrown at them. More
I
commentary.
think that happens all the time with that band, though.
And, yeah. And then finally he gets to a question, how many bands have we all seen before we gave a care? I never saw a band before I gave a care. My first concert was Poison and Lita Ford, and I was a little, 9-year-old metalhead, so I was stoked about it. And I don't think I really went to any concerts before that.
I think for me, I saw actually at the Concord Pavilion here locally.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this band. Have you heard of Hootie and the Blowfish?
I've heard of Hootie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a band called Bella Fleck and the Flecktones that opened for them.
Also remember.
And I had not heard about them, or didn't know anything about them. Before, and saw them, and they blew those guys away.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like a jazz musicians, before
little
these
jam
guys
bandy
playing,
jazz.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was great.
Actually pronounced Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, and I just saw them 2 months ago, and they're fucking
Hi, I'm
incredible.
Bevo. I'm the fan club president.
I've never heard it said like
really?
that. Did they say that on stage?
That's the guy's name. His name is Bela.
Oh, it's a dumb
It's
name.
spelled Bella, but it's pronounced
Really?
Bela.
I see. Yeah, everyone's always says Bella.
I'm glad I
Fleck.
listened to the Brewing Network.
Yeah. Right. Anybody else go, like their parents dragged them to a show when they were too young to even know what it was?
My very first concert was the American Idol tour.
Oh, God.
And it was amazing.
You are so young.
I might have you beat. I wanted to see No Doubt as my first concert, and my dad thought it
Of
would
course you
get
did.
too rowdy. And so I couldn't go.
Wow.
So it was Backstreet Boys,
Okay.
and they were
Oh my God,
incredible.
I love you.
I would still see them today.
Wow.
They're playing in
they're-
Vegas.
Yeah, but
So,
they're
yeah,
like
you can.
$300 tickets.
Yeah.
Ooh, Girls Weekend.
Done.
Okay.
Okay.
My first concert was a Christian concert.
Of course it was.
Aw.
DC Talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
Yeah.
So my first concert, now that I
Yeah,
understand
what was
the
your
question
first?
because I'm older and I ran here.
Yeah.
I saw, actually, I don't know if it was a concert. I saw it down at Universal Amphitheater when it was an outdoor pavilion, and I saw Steve Martin.
Oh,
so he came
doing
out and did his
stand-up.
bit, doing stand-up. But the band that opened was the Blues Brothers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Wait.
And my brother and I, this is where it gets kind of weird. My brother and I were just like kids at the time. This is back in the 40s. And we went with our babysitter and her friend. It was like, how did they get
You stuck
laid with
you.
these guys? So,
Yeah. But
yeah.
you saw Belushi.
Yeah.
And Aykroyd
and
doing
the whole
Blues
band.
Brothers. That's a cool show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
I bet they were really
Sully,
good.
how old are you?
Me? I'm old enough to be your dad. So just be quiet back there, okay?
Settle down.
Yeah, let's not talk any more about it.
Yeah,
I'll turn the studio around.
Wait till we get home. We'll talk about it then.
Anyway, that's from Clayton. On with the show, he says, and suck it, Teresa.
Oh!
So taking JP
Wow.
off the suck it list.
All right. She's not even here to defend herself.
I know. Okay. JP Dickman writes in. Dear Justin and crew, listening to last week's show, I wrote in to inform you that Centerfolds is the strip club north of Chico that you were talking about, and it's still thriving. Next time you're up north and have a hankering to watch some rancher's daughter leave it all on stage, you're in luck.
Perfect.
Alternatively, come collab with us on a pale ale or an oatmeal stout. And by collab, I mean mash in, go drink with Byron at Sierra Nevada, go to Centerfolds, come back for Knockout, and then drink with us. From JP Dickman at Secret Trail Brewing.
Oh, we had them on the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now he has invited us to collab/Centerfolds.
That sounds like the perfect collaboration.
That sounds like a road trip vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Centerfolds Pale Ale coming your way.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Right.
every collab.
Spontaneous fermentation.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
right?
there's just mashing in, and then there's something else.
Yeah.
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 This is the best something else in between.
Yeah. All right, Daniel writes in, and he has written his email in sections. I like the organization. The first section is called Background.
Wow.
First, I'm a little drunk.
Great way to start.
Good background.
I like it. Yeah.
Good background.
Good intro.
Second, I'm a few weeks behind on the session, but was just listening to feedback following the Toasted Oak Brewing show where a listener shitted all over JP. That's his use of shitted, not mine.
Shitted.
I did want to say that I did not get the impression from listening to that show. I have in the past been a little uncomfortable with JP and his sometimes off sense of humor, but I did not feel that way at all during that episode. I have been listening to the BN for 10 years, and I really think that JP has developed significantly as a radio host. Also, he can come across as a bit of a dick on air. But the few times I've met him in person, he's been a reasonably decent human being. It's worth noting that JP curates the feedback, just so you know.
Oh, he totally knows, yeah.
Okay, overall feedback. The session, though going on for over a decade now, has still remained one of my favorite radio shows to listen to. That said, it's so much better with both Justin and JP in-house. I don't want to take away from JP's improvements over the years as a lead host, but there's definitely something about the chemistry on the show when you're both there. And finally, category key point.
Whoa. So we have to pay attention now.
Yeah.
I'm a little drunk.
I've got a pretty shitty family situation. I listen to the session mostly for entertainment, slightly to learn something new. Those roles have changed over the years, and I think you're doing a great job in keeping the material going and relevant to the industry today. Keep up the good work. From Daniel. All right. Well, thank you, Daniel. I'm glad we
Keep
can
listening.
Entertain.
Sorry about the family situation.
Yeah.
That was an interesting mention, though.
Yeah.
Like it just
Little drop.
was thrown in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a little drunk.
That might be a
Right.
cry for help.
I do that when I'm a little drunk, too.
Yeah,
I'm like,
overshare.
and by the way, this awful thing happened.
Right.
Can I have another beer, please?
That's right.
Yeah. All right, and finally, Ian Titus writes in.
Yay.
My server has tits and an Adam's apple. Society is bullshit. Sincerely, Ian Titus. Once again, just a couple of sentences. Not too much, not too little.
He's still got it.
Wow.
Paints the whole picture.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this guy should come out with his own line of fortune cookies.
Yeah.
Brevity is his strong suit.
It is. It is. Thank you, Ian, for brightening our day in the way that you do. Okay, how about this? Let's take ourselves a little break. And when we come back, we're going to be speaking to Hop Revolution on the program, which I'm excited about. They're nice people. We're going to learn all about new hops, New Hop Farm, the biggest one ever in New Zealand, when we come back right after this.
You're tuned into this session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
All right, welcome back to the program. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Before I introduce our guest, Kim Shimke just gave me a photo of a menu board at a brewery in Northern California, not just in Northern California. I'm not going to give the brewery name because I'm going to make fun of their beer list, and I'm not here to disparage anybody in particular.
But you can come visit them at the Hop Grenade here in Concord. in Todos Santos Plaza.
Well, okay. Maybe we should play a little game here. The beer menu I'm looking at, it's a digital menu, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It has 13 beers listed on the menu.
Oh, I bet there's a lot of diversity on that menu.
Well, if you had to guess how many of those 13 beers are IPAs, what would your guess be?
15.
Yeah. Sully, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the way you set it up, I'd have to say probably all of them, just to play it safe.
11 of the 13 beers on this list are IPAs. And there is one coming soon beer listed, like that's going to be tapped next.
Also IPA?
IPA.
Of course.
What the?
Welcome to the New World Order.
Now we've talked about this before. Obviously, IPAs are popular. Great for our hop-focused show today. That's okay.
Yeah.
But still, this is a little ridiculous. Shimke, at this particular brewery, was there like an event happening? Like a
tap takeover kind of deal?
Or
but
like
with
a
style.
showcase IPA? Yeah, anything like that?
No, nothing. That is their board.
Just normal,
Just
every
a normal.
day?
I was there yesterday. Just a normal.
Wow.
Normal Sunday.
There, the other two beers. What do you think, Beardy?
The
What
other
styles?
two, triple IPA.
I
Pale
would.
ale.
Anybody else want to guess, Sully? What do
I'll
you think?
say I'll say a Vienna lager and a bitter.
Close-ish. One was an American light lager, and the other was a Märzen.
Okay.
Put those together, you get a Vienna lager. That's why I said close. So I just had to bring it up because we do. I wish JP was here for that.
Not
just
even
to
text it to him. I'll
just
text
to
it to
let
him.
him go off for 10 minutes on that.
Well, good thing he never leaves the house, so he wouldn't actually see that in the wild.
Yeah. Because I've seen a lot. I've never seen it like that before. That's a lot. That's
I know.
There's not
I
even-
seriously thought something was wrong. I'm like, that can't be right. Because right when you walk in, I mean, the three letters are, they're right at you. I'm like,
yeah.
There can't be that many IPAs.
No,
and then the coming soon was like, no, this can't. No, that is legitimately what their menu board is.
The coming soon's the kicker.
Are they calling it IPAs and it's really something else? Is it like a 4.4 percent? Everything's like an IPA. Is it like a stout IPA? Is it like a, is it? Are they just using IPA as sort of a generic like?
I'm glad you asked, Sully. So they do. All right. One is just called as a session IPA.
Okay.
4.6%, 60 IBUs. The next one's listed as an American, 80 IBUs, 6.5%. The next one's listed as a New England, 7%, 45 IBUs.
Yeah, right.
The next two are listed as American, both 7.5%. JP is answering back, holy shit, where the fuck is that?
Yeah.
If you just texted him the image.
I did. I just texted him the menu board. That was it.
The next one is an Imperial, which, wait. The two before are 7.5%, and basically 80 IBUs. The next one is an Imperial, 8%.
Whoa!
So a half and 100 IBUs. The next one is a session. The next one's a New England. The next one's an American, and so on and so forth. The last one is another 8% Imperial.
So at least 4 American IPAs on that list from the same brewery.
Correct. 2 Imperials, 2 sessions, 2 hazies.
They can't taste different enough to justify that.
Right. And with that, our guests today.
What an intro. What an intro.
We all love hops here.
Yeah, we love hops in different ways.
From Hop Revolution, which is out of New Zealand, we have Susan Wheeler in the studio with us. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
We also have Jason Judkins, also from Hop Revolution. And I was welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
I was explaining to everybody at the beginning of the show that you all flew out just to do this show, and we get people from Southern California who are like, oh, can we just phone in? Can I just do a call in? And you guys made the trek from the other hemisphere.
Yeah. We came here for 7 weeks specifically for the show.
Well, I gave you a whole lineup of things to do.
7 weeks.
Yeah.
You said they got here yesterday.
Shut up.
Oh, okay.
Susan got here yesterday, right, Susan?
I did.
And leaving tomorrow?
For New York, yeah.
Champions!
Oh, wait a second.
But she didn't have to come to the West Coast. She came for the show. Beardy, stop.
You're special, Justin.
Thank you.
It's all about you.
We. This part's we.
Oh.
Yeah.
I get to be special, too?
If the show's really good, it's me.
Right.
Right now, so far, it's we.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Now, you guys are one of, if not New Zealand's newest hop farm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me make sure that I have this right. You are farmers. You have a farm. You are not hop distributors. You are not a hop broker. You are growing hops. Do I have this right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
And how long have you been doing this?
We are yet to grow a hop. Our first hop will come out in March. So we've been developing for about the last 2 years. But so I guess, we're the newest hop farmer without any hops growing.
I love this.
They're not even in the ground.
No, they're in the ground.
Oh,
Yeah, settle down, Beardy. They're in the ground.
They're in the ground.
Okay.
We haven't harvested and processed yet.
Okay.
So.
But when you say in development for 2 years, what does that mean? Does that mean you still have grown some plants? You're getting your varietals down. What is 2 years of processing?
Well, the funny thing is, Hop Revolution actually goes back close on 5 years now. So it started as a research project. All I wanted to do is, my background, I'm a scientist, a plant scientist, and I used to work in the wine industry. And unfortunately, in New Zealand, the wine industry revolves around Marlborough, Sauv Blanc.
Okay.
Kind of like IPAs. Sauv Blanc has the same thing in New Zealand. It's 90% of the market. And as a scientist, that's really boring. I didn't want to study it.
And when you say plant scientist, botanist is the same type of thing as a plant scientist, different than a botanist?
Yeah, so I actually did a PhD in molecular biology and viticulture.
Look at the big brain on Susan. I like this.
You're like the smartest person in this room.
Obviously. Which, by the way, the bar was low.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
But you overshot it by a lot.
Yeah, that was a moonshot, Susan.
Thank you for that, Susan.
So you were a little bored with the wine industry, though.
But I like to drink and I like to grow plants. So hops was a natural progression for me to move into.
Okay.
And originally what I wanted to do was look at diversifying the growing regions in New Zealand for hops. So all the commercial hop farms are in a very small geographical area outside of Nelson, Motueka.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to see what flavours would happen if I grew the varieties in different areas.
I see.
And so we started trials, and it was really exciting. It was a fun research project to do. And then on the journey, it became apparent that it was much more a commercial endeavour that we could get into. So originally I wanted, a 10-acre farm to grow some hops for my brewer mates in New Zealand. And then on the journey, I connected with people that opened my eyes to what we could do commercially.
Sure.
And that came from American brewers who told me of their unmet demands. It came from New Zealand brewers who they needed more. And then it just came from people who could help me on my journey who were experienced in other horticultural industries.
I love this. So you felt this sort of push behind you that, hey, this is not just research, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of hop-growing regions on the planet. It's certainly not concentrated ones, right? Of course, we have the Washington region in the U.S., Yakima, Germans, right? Czech, and New Zealand? I guess there's England, of course.
And Australia. And so, the funny thing is sort of when you look at where hops do grow and you compare other crops, the same crops that Yakima's good for, apples, grapes, berries, that's what grows well in New Zealand in more regions than just Nelson.
I see. Okay. Now, in the history of this show, we have, I won't say we've heard a lot about New Zealand hops, but we've heard about New Zealand hops. We've talked about them with brewers who have used them. I think they came up quite a bit in our early years when it came to organic hops. And if I remember right, I haven't even spoken to you guys about this, but if I remember right, by law, New Zealand hops, at least at the time, I don't know if it's the same, had to be organic. That was you guys don't even call them organic. You just call it growing shit without stuff on it.
That's what it says on the label, growing shit.
Yeah. So New Zealand was lucky because obviously hops aren't native to New Zealand. So the varieties that we grow have no disease resistance. So we don't have powdery, we don't have downy, we don't have black spot. So a lot of the things that make hop growing difficult for an American hop grower, we don't have to worry about.
Wow.
Which makes us very lucky. And it means that we can focus on stuff like not spraying pesticides and fungicides throughout the growing season.
Yeah.
How do you prevent that? Shouldn't that be a concern?
Don't invite Americans to your hop farm.
Oh, right.
We do have very strict biosecurity rules, and you're right. So with us, when we go back to New Zealand, none of us are allowed to wear our clothes back on the farm. We have to dispose of them.
Yeah.
That's just a rule we have. The same when we have people from America visit the farms, we make sure that we give them boots and we have disinfectant and stuff like that.
That's really smart. Because that's serious, because you are very lucky and no one wants to be the one to screw that up.
Right.
do not invite the Brewing Network to New Zealand. We're just good
You
at
want to
screwing.
infect the fields. It'll be the whole
You can't
country.
Right. It'll be a
Pressure
mess.
washers won't be enough.
That's all right. We'll just spray you down before you come on farm.
Good call. Good call. Let's get that on video.
The hosing down area.
Well, let me back up for just a second because I want to talk about how we met. And I like this story because Jason, you're the CEO of Hop Revolution. Jason reached out to me and said, hey, we have this new company and we have what we think is a really cool logo. And we didn't know about you, but we did some research and we found out about you. And I want you to take a look at the logo, and I hope maybe it's different enough and if it's okay, and will you take a look? And he sends me a logo with a variation of a hop grenade on it. And immediately I'm like, I write back, first of all, Jason,
did you write back like a couple of them and you kept deleting and you were like, this is way too hard? Because you probably went to the deep end of the pool, I can imagine.
Fuck off! Get your own logo. I'm like cursing the whole country.
I can't do that. Delete. They seem like nice people.
I'd like you to meet my friend John at the Beer Law Center.
It took me 7 days. Actually, the first thing I wrote back was, I said, well, Jason, first of all, it is very kind of you to even have reached out like this, because most often what happens is that either people know about it and don't care, or didn't even bother to do a Google search of any kind, and I find out about it much later, and then it's a whole thing, and it becomes increasingly difficult. So first, I just thanked you for even being that nice, and then, of course, secondly, unfortunately, all the hop grenades belong to me, and I can't, because it dilutes, and it's a whole thing, and I hate sending that email, that part of it, of course. And so I'm always worried about the answer back. And Jason writes back, understood.
Yeah.
No problem. We're gonna work on another logo, and I'll send that to you. And I'm like, well, you don't even have to do that. Like, just don't use. I don't have to see it. But ended up coming up with a killer logo. And as he sends it back, he said, this is our logo. What do you think? I said, I think that's a great logo. No problem here. And Jason goes on to say, and by the way, now that we've met, can we talk? Can we hang out? Can we have some beer together? Can we work together?
You turn the page.
Whoa.
And nobody ever does that. I'm in the middle of a lawsuit right now because of these things happening, and you two are the first to just be so nice about it. I don't know if that's a Kiwi thing.
I think it's a Kiwi thing, but we're reaching out with fingers crossed. So back in the office when I sent that email to you, it was about, hey, we'll meet up with CBC and Susan and I will schmooze him and we'll get him over. Then he sent back the email saying, mate, I've been defending this for 17 years. Every month I've been defending it, and I've got to keep it clean. So we thought, let's try and turn this into a friendship, because we didn't have many friends up here. We're only just starting out, so we thought we'd give it a go. But we'd still printed some gear, so we had 2 boxes of hats and T-shirts with the Hop Grenade logo. So they're all gone now, but here's a couple that we brought up for you just for fun.
I didn't even notice the NZ on this. I thought it was just another a new Hop Grenade hat from the BN.
Have you got my camera on there, Beav? Yeah. And then even with this, Jason's like, well, we already had some merch done, but don't worry, we'll destroy it. And I'm like, you don't have to. That's okay. You don't have to destroy. I just picture like a bonfire out of
or it's going to the losing NFL team.
Right, yes.
Stuff. Yeah. They had them printed anyway.
But we have the last pieces now, right?
You got the last 2.
Wow.
So I've got a shirt and I got a hat, and you even got the right size. Yep. Thanks for not thinking I'm a big fatty on the air. And I'm going to wear it. I love it.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was a very cool way that we met, and that just doesn't happen that often. I'm not saying that everybody's a dick once they find out we have the logo, but nobody ever reaches out and says, what do you think of this? So
I'm kind
good on you.
That's awesome. But I'm curious, did you see their logo and decide, we'll do a variation of it? It was just you just kind of came up in your own space and
What was interesting in this is we've got some designers in New Zealand, Paul and Paula Dashwood, and they're a lovely couple, work from home. And they were doing our design, and I went round to their house when they presented it to Susan and I, and we're sitting there, and they're going, we've got this great concept, make it edgy, this is what we could do, this hop. And, it looks kind of like a grenade, but isn't that cool with the revolution thing? Uh-huh. They were so sincere about it. And then when we came back and said, look, there's there's this potential issue up in the States. We're going to reach out to Justin and see what he thinks. They were heartbroken.
Oh, no.
They were absolutely heartbroken.
Yeah,
but you know what? We reflect on it, and it's been a good journey. You know, it was good. We're really pleased with what we ended up with.
Good.
We're pleased to make the relationship here. And you've got an unofficial office down in Nelson when you turn up.
I love it so much.
You're saying, though, that your logo's better than his hop.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
I mean, you're done
That's it.
Well, and here's what I do think that oftentimes when the hop grenade even gets used here, it's not that somebody saw mine and took it. I think it's... You know what makes a great logo is when it's recognizable and people think of it and you're like, oh, obviously it's a hop grenade. That's part of what makes it. So it doesn't surprise me. I think you're 100% sincere, and I think other folks who have ended up taking the hop grenade were sincere also when they said, oh, we didn't know about you. It's only on occasion that I find my exact drawing, my exact logo, and then I'm like, come on, guys, this is ridiculous.
It's hard, man. I mean, you got to defend it. I mean, like you said, I mean, you're nice people, but you have to sort of say, no, I'm sorry about that, but because it's a slippery slope. Because if you don't defend it, it invites other people. We've had that same thing happen with us. People using names, people using our name, and you always have to have a funny conversation with them, and eventually, say, hey, come on, man. Right. Anyway, good on you. That's awesome. That's a good story.
And in the beer industry, I do think most of us try to just do it person to person before it ever gets weird. But sometimes it just does.
That's key.
Yeah. Okay. So anyhow, fast forward. Now we get to know you, and I'm also happy about that. So let me ask a little bit just about hops in the country of New Zealand. If I could get just a little history there. I mean, does New Zealand have a long history of growing hops, just like England, for example?
Yeah, so I mean, when you look back in New Zealand's history, obviously we were settled by a lot of European settlers around the 1850s to, late 1890s.
Okay.
And when you're travelling halfway across the world, you want to be self-sufficient. So there were a lot of people who moved from England and from Europe who took hops with them. So there's hop plants that have been historically in New Zealand since that time.
Okay.
The industry sort of became an industry probably in about the 1930s where growers started growing commercially to sell to big breweries. And so the industry was probably domestic right up until, the early 90s. Most of the hops would have stayed in New Zealand for New Zealand breweries.
And for what we would call macro breweries, big, large breweries, which is what, like VB?
Oh, that's Australian.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Damn
it. What's a big New Zealand brewery?
We have a Lion and DB are the two big breweries.
DB. I was close.
They were letters.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, up until the early 80s, they brewed all the beer in New Zealand.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens in the early 80s?
Well, that's when a person who is associated with Hop Revolution came along. So Terry McCashin in New Zealand, he was famous to begin with because he was an All Black, which is a rugby player, which in New Zealand is obviously a big thing.
Can I ask a dumb question? You don't like All Black doesn't mean like a black person.
Sorry, it's the
I
name.
don't know
it's the name of our national team.
Our rugby team.
Just checking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every New Zealand listener we have right now is like, fucking Justin.
Come on.
Are the Oakland Raiders Raiders? Are they actually Raiders? Is that what they did before?
I mean, the 49ers clearly mined for gold.
I don't know what an All Black is.
The uniform was all black. It was a very original name.
Okay.
So Terry was a publican. So he ran, a small pub that sold obviously Lion and DB's beer, and he then decided that he was going to set up New Zealand's first independent brewery.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was back in the early 80s, and a lot of us who sort of moved from drinking mass beer that your parents might have drunk would move to Max, which was, Terry's beer. His label is what I drank through my uni days.
Okay.
And then
give us an idea of the size, because if he's kind of the first craft brewer, you can do it in hectoliters. Sully will convert it for me.
I can't do that. He's got the big brain.
I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to pull
those
stats
But he would have been small, right?
Very small.
Okay.
Very small. And so, probably similar to a lot of people here in America, you know, when you're trying to crack into what was then, you know, a very difficult industry to crack into. He had trouble, you know, getting a license from the government to be able to, you know, brew beer and do all of that. And so he was very successful. As a lot of the stories happen, he then sold the brewery to one of the big guys.
Okay.
His family left the beer industry for 10 years. It was a restraint of trade. And then they bought back their old brewery and set up another beer label.
That's cool. Huh.
And he heard about, you know, my interest in growing hops and looking at diversifying into new growing regions and, you know, wanting to deal directly with brewers. And I was lucky enough that he financed the company from that point.
Wow. Okay, I wanted to get at that. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know if, for example, you're a trust fund baby is what we would call.
Right.
Because most scientists who come in here are like, yeah, well, I'm a fucking scientist. I have nothing except my brain and my science.
Well, and a very supportive husband who is a painter, a tradie, who funded the company for its first 2 years as a startup.
Okay.
So I owe him a lot of beer and enduring gratitude from here.
Yes, okay.
But Terry was the one that led us buy our first hop farm.
Wow,
so,
that's great.
He took a huge risk on a very unproven scientist who had a bit of a crazy idea, and we're eternally grateful for that.
That's great.
So you bought an existing hop farm?
No, so completely bare blocks. So there was it was growing black currants and beef at the time that we bought it. So it's in the hop growing region. It was a beautiful piece of land. The story is we actually bought it without setting foot on the land.
Sight unseen.
Whoa.
But we knew where it was and we knew...
Bought it on eBay then.
Right.
And, you know, we went in at a very large scale for New Zealand. So the block of land itself, I convert to acres for you, was probably about 400 acres.
Wow.
Okay. Of which about 300 will end up under hops. So
can you give us a reference, like what would be the average hop farm size beside that?
So there's some larger ones going in now, but probably mostly about 50 acres is a hop farm in New Zealand. So, you know, it's family owned. It's often, you know, multi-generational. They've got, you know, their processing on site, their harvesters on site. And you know, one thing that we've learnt is it's very hard to do this on scale with your own money.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So let me ask you, okay, so 400 acres, this farm, and Terry comes in, he's going to help, right? Is it your idea to go that big, or is he encouraging you? Because I might be a little nervous about 400 acres.
So the scientist in me kept on wanting to do small-scale trials over many years to prove we could do it. And that was the beauty of Terry. He was a visionary, and it didn't scare him. I would say that both of us were slightly ignorant of what we were getting into at the beginning, and looking back now, sort of 2 years down the track, where we're still putting posts in the ground, and you know, our harvesters are still being, you know, finished off. We were overly ambitious, but we've actually managed to pull it off, which is, you know, perhaps the most exciting thing of all.
Wow.
Yeah. So you wouldn't say you bit off more than you could chew, but that's not exactly where you started out. You and Terry just ended up going for it.
Yeah, yeah, and there's something in that you know, looking back on now, is so exciting that we did just jump in, boots and all, and just go for it.
You know, we talk to brewers who come in here and they're like, we just bought a 7-barrel system to start, and almost I can't really remember a brewer who doesn't regret that. Who doesn't come in? Of course, if they make good beer and they become successful, they're always like, should have done at least 15. Now I bought a 15 2 years later. Now I'm buying a 30 2 years after that, and you might have ended up in the same boat if you didn't just kind of go for it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the differences in American hop farms, you know, we would be considered small, but it's just, you know, geographically we're quite constrained by land. It's hard. We don't have the large tracts of flat land that you do in places like Yakima or Oregon.
Right. It sounds to me like 400 acres is like half of your country, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Your country's, what, at least 850?
Right. And there's also sheep grazing in the hops, I think.
Yeah, they have to share it.
Yeah. There is indeed sheep in the hop farm.
There is?
So, yeah, I'm sorry, you're not joking.
I love it.
I mean, I knew that.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, well, so that's cool. And now, will this year be your first full harvest of this ranch, of this farm?
Yeah, so everything's gearing up for March next year. So obviously we're just coming to the end of our winter. Mm-hmm. So, the farm's starting to wake up. We're up here. This is the last opportunity Jason and I have to do the sort of visits to the States before
you're stuck on that farm.
We're into it for the next 6 months.
Okay.
So March is where we're heading to. That's our harvest.
Okay. Now, how is the relationship with other hop growers in New Zealand? Is it, craft beer in America is pretty, we're all pretty kind to each other.
We all get along. You need a sack of grain. You need some ideas.
So you mentioned these sort of sixth-generation farmers, and now you're the new kids. How does that play? What do you think?
Well, for me, I'm new too. So I'm only new into the hop industry since the beginning of the year. I'm also from the wine industry. And in New Zealand, there's a lot of collaboration, so we tend to work together really well at a farm level. And the existing hop growers have been really generous to us and helping us learn and teaching us stuff. And there's another player in the industry outside of there's New Zealand Hops and us and another player.
Okay.
And and with more entrants coming in, we're forming an industry association, and we're really wanting to do the right thing by the industry. So I think with all things, when there's change, there's a little bit of everyone just finding their place.
Yeah.
But no, we all get on really well, and people, as I said, have been very helpful to us and teaching us the ropes.
I mean, I can imagine you're going to sell every hop you grow, right? It's still a small enough amount that no one's going to have trouble selling more hops, right?
No. How many pounds are you going to get out of the first year?
So we're hoping for around 200,000 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Across how many varieties?
3.
Okay.
Yeah. So the hardest thing for what we hear from brewers in the States in particular is the limited volumes of New Zealand hops is actually to the detriment. So, when a brewer can only do a one-off brew with New Zealand hops because that's all you can get, you're never going to get into their production beers, which is, ideally where you want to end up. So, the industry, when you compare, Citra's at, I think, 12,000 acres currently planted now, the entire New Zealand industry, putting everyone together, is less than 2,500 acres.
Okay.
Across, that's across 17 varieties.
Wow.
So we're very, very small scale.
Interesting. So you were kind of nodding like you have some experience with New Zealand hops.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't get them. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, when they seem to be tied up, you certainly can't scale it for a production beer that you want to put out year round. We just do these one-offs, mostly. And I mean, I've heard of brewers going to New Zealand to develop relationships with farmers down there to say, hey, make sure you take care of me, kind of thing. Right, sort of avoiding the larger suppliers here in the United States, just actually going to farmer direct and developing those relationships. So,
yeah,
it's I don't think you have any problem at all. I mean, it's not a lot of hops anyway. I mean, you think about where all that's going to go. I mean, United States, it's probably go to Europe. I mean, there's a lot of demand for those hops everywhere.
And the direct to brewer it sounded to me like you mentioned that's your model, right?
Well, that's the beauty for me as a scientist. When I'm thinking about how I grow hops better for someone, my client is the brewer. It's ultimately they're the ones that are going to highlight my hops. And so that feedback from them is really important. It's like a winemaker and a grape grower. The winemaker stipulates what they want from the grape grower. And I'd like that relationship with my brewers.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Hop Revolution will grow better hops by having the brewers involved.
Sure. You need that feedback too.
Yes.
So going back to the name, I mean, what's the setup down there right now? Do most farmers sell to a broker? And then they're not selling direct to brewers. I mean, we would get hops from our suppliers up here that are essentially like middle people. Look at me trying
Yeah.
to be
That's
middle
right.
persons,
Yeah,
middlemen.
very politically correct,
Look at
so-
that. Hey, just trying to help out here.
Yeah.
And so, are you? Is your name? Is it revolutionary in a sense because you're disrupting sort of the normal business paradigm that exists down there, or?
I suppose Hop Revolution was named before it was a commercial entity, and my husband and I were sitting around having to come up with a business name to
Thinking about a
register.
hop grenade, so.
And,
Yeah.
and you know, we're both old punkers, so we're kind of naturally aligned with that. But it is, I mean, you know, we get to come in fresh. We don't have those existing long relationships where, you know, brokers were, you know, they were needed in the hop industry, you know, 20, 30 years ago. And so, you know, with the craft beer industry now being so big, you know, and brewers wanting to be able to come and have direct relationships and visit the farm and be involved in that side, we're lucky we get to start afresh.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the processing in-house, or are there centralized processors in New Zealand?
No, so for each, we're going to do more than one farm. So this is our first one. So we're processing everything on farm up to a bale form. And then for this year, we're sending up through cold store, through a cold store reefer up into Mill 95 in Idaho, and they're palletising for us.
Okay.
From there, we'll distribute directly in the US from Mill 95.
Because the U.S. is your focus. You'd like to get the hops in our hands here.
Yeah, look, the US is our focus. From when the farm has been set up, we have had a number of brewers come down and brokers come down from different parts of the world. You know, Russia, Europe, UK, Asia. But what we thought, we really wanted to start in the US, and we're really starting small, guys, like we are. We're just going with, you know, 25 or 30 brewers that we think we could have a good relationship with going into this year, you know, who want to come to the farm, work with us to grow the best quality hops we can. And you know, our slogan is we're really only here for your beer. So we really want to make the best beer we can. And so we just want to start small and then not overpromise.
Yeah.
Because we're learning, right? We've got a bit to learn. We think we're doing it really well. We've got the best quality equipment. We've got great investors who believe in quality, come from different parts of New Zealand agri who have seen it before and know what to do. And, you know, we're getting in the best people we can. But, you know, we're going to make mistakes on this journey, and we've got a lot to learn. We're not a sixth-generation hop grower.
Yeah.
We're not here to say we've got the best hops, but what we are here to say is we think, you know, we can achieve, you know, aim for the stars and we'll get to the moon, you know, that type of concept. So,
well, now I want to follow along this whole journey, especially if you're willing to make mistakes, talk about mistakes. Now I want to keep checking in and just finding out what is happening as is. When is harvest time for you?
Well, harvest is in March. So,
Okay.
It's funny. We're talking about the farm, and we're going to make some mistakes, and different risks are going to come along. And Susan and I are sharing an Airbnb at the moment. We were just talking about it this morning. We look on our news feed, and there's this thing called what you guys would have known in the Northern Hemisphere, the beast from the east, which is the southern, for us, it's going to be the southern atmospheric weather change over the Antarctic. So looking at it, what they're forecasting is 25 to 40 degree centigrade, which I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit.
It's hot.
Temperature changes. Too hot. Temperature changes over the Antarctic in the next couple of weeks, which is that warm air is going to push the cold air out, which is going to push a whole lot of cold air out into the Pacific.
Okay.
And which will mean September, October, we could, you know, have a high rate of frosting. So we're looking at this. We've got a few 100,000 of.
I'm afraid
of
for you,
plants.
right?
Yeah.
And, you know, so we're looking at that, going, you know, hey, there's going to be some challenges here, but we do have some challenges in front of us, but it's really exciting.
Sure.
Normally, what kind of latitude is comparable? Are you more like at Oregon level or Washington level for a growing region?
More like Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
More like
so
Oregon.
higher rainfall. So we, you know, naturally have higher rain through summer, and not quite as hot, obviously, as Yakima.
So the rain's good, right?
Rain is good.
Okay. Because hops are just thirsty, right?
Yeah.
It's weird to me about Yakima because it's kind of desert with the heat, but they're just pumping in a ton of water.
Right.
Because they just need tons of water, right? Okay.
And I imagine your typical humidity is probably higher than where the growing regions are here in
and
the US.
And that's going to be one of the interesting things for us when we come to doing our processing and having to have hops, dried to a certain level. We're trying to work out how quickly we can get them into, a temperature and humidity controlled environment. Otherwise, they'll just suck water from the air.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Ooh.
Our Tapawera farm. Tapawera is a little tiny town actually between Nelson and Motueka. So in the hop growing area, if you can picture it, it's on a river plain. So there's a really beautiful river right beside it, and it's surrounded by mountains. So it's got its own microclimate there. Great for water supply. It's a very well watered property.
Okay.
Very cold nights, really hot days. So
I see.
It's a good area for hop growing and other crops, to be honest.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
What do you have in the ground? What kind of varietals?
So we're really focused, obviously, on Nelson 7. So that's our that's almost half the farm. Then Rewaka and Motueka. We've got a small amount of an older New Zealand variety called Pacific Sunrise, which was in the market probably 10, 15 years ago, but was quite challenging to grow. So we're hoping with some of the new technologies, with harvesters and that, we'll be able to grow that more successfully.
Okay.
But we've really been brewer-led. So over the years, talking to brewers, those same 3 varieties just come up time and time again. So
and from American brewers too, that's what they keep asking for here?
Very much so. Yeah, and New Zealand brewers too. I mean, New Zealand brewers themselves, a lot of them are struggling to get the Rewaka that they would like. And so that's actually what's happened is the New Zealand brewers get to call the Rewaka before the Americans. So they take pretty much most of the current supply.
Got it. I'm a little surprised to hear Nelson. And only because I just hear mixed reviews about it from brewers. It's one of those, I feel like, love it or hate it hops.
Yeah, very distinctive.
I love it. In fact, from the very first beer I had with it, I was like, oh, this hop is going to take off in America. And it really didn't. It's sort of like it's a boutique hop. And anytime I see a Nelson beer on in the U.S., I order it every time.
Well, it's because you can't get it.
And maybe, that too. But it's kind of a polarizing hop, don't you think?
Well, and I think it's one very much driven by harvest maturity and processing. So for us, I mean, I'm pretty fortunate that the investors are supporting us to have a on-farm lab. So we're going to have, a large amount of science that we're going to do during the harvest windows to figure out, what flavour profiles we get from Nelson, from an early pick,
right,
from a particular block. And that's where working with brewers and showing them what the hop looks like from different sites and from different, harvest maturities.
Sure.
It's going to be really exciting to figure out what flavours they do or don't like.
That's really interesting that when you're going to actually harvest it, because I was talking to a hop farmer up in Yakima, and he was saying all hops go to garlic at some point. And so, maybe a typical Nelson hop is, it was certainly going to have a lot of variety. And working with the suppliers, what do you, or brewer, excuse me, what do you like? What aspect of this hop do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really intrigued with the idea of, presenting, brewers with the same hop and seeing what they do with it, because to me it's an ingredient. So I can do so much on the farm, but then I could give that same lot of hops to 10 different brewers and you will make 10 different beers out of it.
Yeah. They probably all have 10 different stupid opinions about it, too.
They do. It's so funny. That's the way hop harvest is. You go for selection, and it's like one man's gold is another man's crap. You'll see your hop supplier will be sitting there during the selection process, and you'll be talking about, oh, these are crap, and then the next bunch will come in here and be like, these are amazing.
Sure,
it's like Centennials. I always use that as a prime example. Centennial hops, you have real dank, qualities to them, but sometimes you get these really bright, like citrus, high notes to it. And so some brewers prefer the dank ones, and other ones prefer the sort of the higher, more fruity aspects.
And so is your guys' plan to just kind of make one version of Nelson, or since you're working with so few breweries, will you kind of be more selective and, okay, this brewery would like an earlier harvest Nelson, and so kind of stagger the harvest?
Well, I mean, for us, a lot of it will be, the first year we will do what we think is best practice on the farm, and then after we, spend the time with the brewers and getting their feedback, that's going to then influence on-farm practices for the following years.
Yeah. Well, and even if you guys end up with more acreage or more varieties too, I've been learning from talking to farmers recently too that some farmers will pick varieties based on their harvest time, because if everything has to be harvested at the same time, you don't have enough equipment for that. So you start to even plant and choose your varieties based on the amount of equipment you have, the amount of labor that you have, and you end up having to pick that way too.
Yeah, and I mean, we were pretty fortunate convincing our investors to let us overspec on the harvesting processing side, based around our Nelson. So we wanted to plant as much as we could, and we'll be harvesting 24 hours a day through that window, but we actually won't be using our equipment to capacity at other times.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because that's the pinch point of the whole process. It's not the acreage, it's the processing equipment.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, we've got very expensive equipment that is only going to get used at capacity for probably 10 days, maybe 3 weeks.
Sure.
So is 10 days to 3 weeks how long it'll take you to process that 200 acres?
So it'll be slightly more than that. So we've got probably we've got 10 days for the Nelson. That's what we've
24/7.
24/7.
Wow.
Yikes. I don't want to be around during that.
That's a lot of overtime.
I don't want to hang out with you during that time, Susan. I feel like it's going to be a very stressful time. We're on the farm.
I do a lot of me
Susan,
on the farm, but we've got an amazing team down there. We've got farm managers. We've got a permanent crew. We'll be looking at harvest crews. I kind of swan in and do the science side, and then swan out and leave a list of chores for others.
Smart. I like your style already. Well, let's do this. I've got more questions, a lot more actually. Let's take a quick break, and we come back. We'll find a little bit more about the other varieties that you're planting as well. And I'm curious about this whole process. We've never gotten to speak to a hop farm that's so new, so I think it's really fun to learn about. The nervousness and the excitement and all the cool stuff happening. So hang in there. When we come back, a little more from Hop Revolution.
Hey, motherfuckers, this is Doug from fucking Society. You're listening to The Session on the fucking Brewing Network. Fuck you.
Dougie, it's always so angry. Welcome back to The Session. You're hanging out with us here and Hop Revolution. And this next segment is brought to you by Beersmith Brewing Software. You can go to beersmith.com and check it out. Of course, they offer a free 21-day trial. You know that. I've been telling you for years. So you don't have to take my word for it, but they are awesome. It's the best brewing software you will find. They've got support for mead, wine, and cider also. They got a water profile tool built right into the recipe builder, mash, pH estimation, and adjustment. They've got it all. Go to beersmith.com right now and check it out and get your free 21-day trial. And they've been good to us over the years, so tell Brad over there, Brad Smith, who writes it, that we sent you. All right, so we are still speaking with Jason and Susan from Hop Revolution, and we've got more to talk about. And one thing I was thinking about during the break, I was thinking about the amount of money that you people must be spending on this endeavor, because I know how expensive it is to bring a hop to market, and I was thinking about that in relation to the scale, in the sense that just because you have less acreage doesn't mean it's less expensive to bring a hop to market. And I relate it to, I have to relate it to just something I know, which is the restaurant business a little bit. And sometimes customers will order a half order of salad or whatever it is. I'll take the half order, right? And they assume then that the price should be half the price, but it's not half the price. If the full order of a salad is $18, a half order is probably about $15, because you still have to turn on the lights, and you still have to pay the staff, and you still have to buy the farm equipment, and so I think you see what I'm getting at here. It's even more difficult for you folks with the smaller scale, and it probably costs you just as much as some of those in the U.S. doing a larger scale of something to sell. And I wonder, you all are clearly smarter than I am, how you're coping with that from a business model perspective. It must be a very long-term plan that you all have. Jason?
Susan's handballed that one to me.
Yeah, Jason, you do this.
There is a plan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a plan, and Susan took the story with Terry up until about mid last year, and when Terry passed away.
Okay.
And so Terry passed away suddenly.
Well, I'm sorry about that.
And the McCashin family were unsure, where to go from there, and they decided to bring in an independent chairman who has got a lot of experience in New Zealand agriculture from our kiwi fruit and apple industry.
Okay.
And he came in and said, look, there's really something here. We need to take this forward, and so formed a board. Formed a management team.
Great.
And then brought investors around this, and so the investors that have come in behind us at Hop Revolution are, a lot of seasoned agricultural investors who have seen and been there in kiwi fruit and apples and grapes, and they understand it, and so they're there for the long term. And
okay,
majority of which is New Zealand money. There's a little bit that comes from the US and a little bit from other areas, but mostly from New Zealand. And it's a lot of money. So we're talking, around $250,000 a hectare, which is, what's that? 2.5 acres, 250,000, 2.5 acres for the whole setup of the farm. So in New Zealand dollars, we're talking over $20 million. So it's it's a big investment, and
it is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to mislead our listeners either, because it is easy to talk about how much it costs in this long-term investment, right? But there's money in hops, and so it's a smart investment. And I don't mean to say that it's a dumb investment or that this is crazy, but it is a long-term game, and it's a lot on the line. And I think that's why I bring it up, because when you bring these wonderful hops to fruition, well, then great, okay, we've done it, but it's a long play. And that I guess would be the scary part for me.
Well, and the hard thing for us, we slightly joke about our logo that we're really only here for your beer, but as a hop grower, I have no secondary market to sell my hops into.
Right.
If I can't convince the brewer to put them in his beer, I can't, go and make a food additive or a flavour compound or anything like that.
No.
So, being dependent on basically a sole customer is quite scary.
Yikes.
And not only that, but, a customer that can source hops from many countries in the world in different, distribution models and streams. Whether or not they want to deal with, an independent farm halfway across the world, was a real unknown, and especially for a startup. I've talked to some of the brewers who I'm been in contact with for 4 years, and 4 years ago, Hop Revolution was an idea,
right?
And they've been on the journey with me to the point that we were about to have our first harvest, and some of them have been quite forthright that they didn't think I would ever get there, and are quite surprised that we're now standing on a very professional farm with very expensive equipment, set up to world class standards. So the disbelief from them is, encouraging and discouraging at the same time.
Sure.
But that's what we were aiming for.
Yeah, and the brewers are making a big investment too, buying hops from us. So when we rock up to a brewery with a printed T-shirt and a hat.
Keep going. They're talking to me through the window.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay, so he's giving me funny hand signals. Right.
Not you. I'm sorry. They're talking to me through the window. My friends from Canada are leaving right now. Bye, friends.
Goodbye, Canadian friends.
Goodbye.
Forgive me, Jason. Forgive me.
They're not as nice as the New Zealand
They look like fun friends. We should bring them in.
Yeah.
So when we rock up with a printed T-shirt, and they're looking at us, and we're knowing they're making a big investment in our hops, and we're yet to produce one. That's a pretty courageous decision for a brewer to make. And, they've been following Susan on Instagram for a while, and some of them have been to the farm and seen it, but a lot haven't.
Sure.
So, we've got a lot to prove, and we want to do the best quality hops that we can, but, we live or die on the quality, right? So,
sure.
And our investors,
they understand that.
Yep, and so do we.
And it sounds like you guys are doing it the right way so far. I did a little research on you. I asked some brewers, and you know what? You already have a little name. Some great brewers that I know were like, oh yeah, I checked them out. I went to the farm, or I know about them, and that you guys are doing it right. You're putting in what you have to to do it right. Which is, I mean, you'd just be silly not to with the amount of cash we're talking about here, right? So
yeah, but it sounds like it's a relationship business. I mean, this whole industry is. I mean, you've gotten to know the brewers. Look, and what sucks about being a brewer in the United States and going down to New Zealand and running around down there and seeing what you're doing. I mean, that is like instant marketing. I mean, you just got to tap into that, and then they're going to come back and tell their friends. I'm already planning my trip right now.
There's sheep rides, right? And there's sheep rides I heard about.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things to do.
Yeah. No, it's just awesome. I mean, you have like this built-in little marketing, model that's sort of, which I'm sure you've thought about.
I think that's called a tax-deductible holiday.
Yeah, that's all I heard too.
You guys have a bed and breakfast on the farm getting built right now, right?
I saw Sully on his phone last segment. I think he booked a flight.
Yeah,
I'm already there. I'm actually in the airport after here. I'm going to beat you back there. I'll be there with clean boots on
and your sheep shears.
The camper van holiday is one of New Zealand's most famous holidays. So getting in a camper van, travelling around the South Island of New Zealand, staying on the farm, people are welcome to do that and come down and visit.
Oh, I love this.
Super popular, yeah.
Damn it.
Come down.
Now I got to ship my little Volkswagen camper out there.
It's going to be
put the bunker on a barge.
Perfect. Yeah.
Send it down.
The bunker floats, dude. I'll just drive that thing right across the ocean.
The roof lets a lot of water in.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you mentioned the varietals that you're doing, and I'm curious how it works in New Zealand. So here in the U.S., you have like public domain varietals, which will be like your C hops, But then you have like your Citras and your Simcoes, and they're sort of owned by the folks who spent, I don't know, $10 million to bring a new strain to harvest. How is that working for you? Are the hops you're growing public domain in New Zealand?
So hops like Nelson, they are trademarked and have licenses, and so we've been fortunate that we've gained licenses to grow varieties like Nelson.
I see. Okay. And the other ones that you're growing are more public domain? Is that the only licensed one?
They're all trademarked.
They all are, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always fascinating to me, and I don't think there's anything wrong if you spend the kind of cash to bring a variety like that.
Yeah, through a breeding program, I mean, you want to reap the rewards from it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But when I first learned about even that process here in the U.S., I was just sort of fascinated by it. I thought, well, it's something that grows. You can't just grow it.
Well, and that's the interesting thing for New Zealand. I mean, varieties like Rewalker, they're 30 years old. They're not, they're not, the new latest creation that came out last year. They've been around, a substantial amount of time.
Yeah.
And yet they still seem to have the cachet with brewers where they want to revisit them if they haven't been able to get them for the last few years.
Right.
Which is a really nice position to be in when, you've got a reputation and you've got awareness about a variety.
Right.
It's very hard to get that interest in a brand new hop, that you guys might see for the first time this year.
Well, they're new to us, though. If we could never get them because the New Zealand brewers bought them all up, right? New to us is just as good as new.
Well, it's funny. Some of the brewers I've talked to, I mean, they brewed beer, 7-10 years ago with varieties like Rewalker, and so they're really excited at the idea of revisiting those beers.
Okay.
In their memories to see whether or not they're going to be as good as what they remember brewing 7 years ago.
Rewalker is a variety that's very hard to grow. So as a grower, when you're thinking about which varietals you're going to plant, of course yield is a big factor in that. And Rewalker has been hugely challenging for a number of years. So
in what sense? Because it doesn't yield enough?
It doesn't yield very high. It dies easily. It's one of those difficult plants. So, we see the demand for Rewalker, and we think we can grow it, but we are the new guys, and so as we go through, I guess the next 12 months, we may not be able to grow it as well as what we're hoping to grow it. So there's a risk
you all are up for a challenge. You're just not just a new farmer. You're going to pick the difficult one to grow.
We're picking a tough one.
What kind of flavors?
What is it? Yeah, I mean,
never heard of it.
So, I kind of describe Rewalker as quite a soft hop, so it's not abrasive. It's got some really good citrus tropical flavors, but like Nelson's in your face, it gets that slightly oily characteristic and stuff like that. Rewalker's very different. It's European heritage, so it's SARS.
Okay,
so it is really. I like to say it's understated is how I see it. And there's been some fabulous beers in New Zealand which have been single hopped with Rewalker in the last couple of years. And it stands out.
What do you see it in? What style beer do you use it in?
Well, I suppose for us, I mean, you can put it in, I've seen it in some lagers. Obviously, unfortunately, just like you guys, IPAs are big for us too. I think it shines more in blending as well. So, I like to see it used with other hops as well.
Yeah, that's always a good approach.
Do you plan on, or from a scientific background, do you think that any of the American varietals will do well on New Zealand soil?
So we have Cascade in New Zealand.
Okay.
So we've grown Cascade, I think, commercially for maybe 10 years. I find it really intriguing for me as when I look at it, because it hangs for a long time in New Zealand, so it's got a really long harvest window and the flavour profiles shift over time. It's not something we've considered looking. So as we were saying before, with biosecurity, we can't import any hop material into New Zealand.
Even just the rhizome.
So not even a rhizome. So
Wow.
so pretty much what we have is what we can work with.
So somebody at some point brought in you said Cascade? At some point brought that in, like before anybody knew about it or something.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much New Zealand, probably in the last 10, 15 years, has got really tough with bringing in plant material.
Which you're probably happy about.
Very happy with.
Yeah. So I didn't think about that. Sure, you can't even bring in a rhizome. So how would you do it anyway?
Huh.
Do you think, I guess maybe this is a really long-term future, so I don't know if you've thought that, but do you think you'll start to breed and mix hops from New Zealand to make new varietals yourselves?
So there's definitely, there's a great breeding program through our government agency. So they're the ones that have bred all the New Zealand varieties up till now, and they will continue with the breeding program going forward. And I think there definitely will be, new varieties coming out into the market. The hard thing is, I'm wondering from a brewer's perspective, is when you reach saturation, like, how many hops do you want in your portfolio? Do you want to have 20? Do you want to have 30? Or do you want to, have 10 and use them in unique ways? And I'm not a brewer. So,
I think that you're going to get, I think the answer to that is going to be both. You're going to find some that are like, give me 10 that are solid and I'll figure out the rest. And others that are like, 20, 30. What do you got?
Yeah, brewers are always looking for the next big thing. Like, what's new, what's coming up, what's sexy, what works well. So, there's always that opportunity too. So,
do the big brewers fund that government breeding and research?
There has been support by the New Zealand industry. So historically, obviously the New Zealand hop growers were the growers for the big guys as well, and so they still do in their portfolio grow hops that would only be used exclusively in New Zealand mainstream beers. Like anything, New Zealand's changing, so we're changing in the same way that America is, and the support from the big guys here into the public hop breeding program is, I think, stepped up lately, and that may happen in New Zealand as well.
Okay.
Are the licenses issued from the government as well? So
no, so not anymore. They're with New Zealand Hops.
Okay.
Which is that's a corporation.
It's a company.
Okay.
That ended up with all of the licenses.
And so when you buy a license, you say, "Here, congratulations! Here's a rhizome. You have one Nelson plant. Do with it whatever you want."
Good luck.
Right? Yeah, you'll figure it out.
Susan's like, "I got this. I'm a scientist. No problem."
With the hop industry in the United States, I think in any sort of like big industrial nation where the large breweries dominate, it's all about alpha acid. So I don't know if your hop farm is like geared towards that. It's more like boutique varieties.
So we're all solely aroma. The funny thing is Nelson is actually still deemed an alpha variety just from its makeup, but we did make the decision just to focus on aroma hops. So and that was brewer led. From a growing perspective, alpha hops would look great from a yield perspective and easier and that, but we like a challenge, so we took it from definitely feedback from brewers.
Sure. And just out of curiosity, because I didn't dive into your background at all, Jason, but as a CEO, where did you come from, and what's your background?
So originally I came from a finance background, funnily enough,
Yeah.
but then I was in the wine industry for a good 10 years. So,
okay.
So, building up a winery and exporting around the world, mostly Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. So
okay.
There's a lot of similar characteristics between Nelson Sauvin and Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, which is only over the hill. So two similar areas. It's about an hour and a half apart. And the New Zealand wine industry's about a $2 billion export industry,
wow.
Compared to the New Zealand hop export industry, which is only about 30 million. So
I see.
It's, hops is tiny, wine is big.
Sure.
And so I've switched over from wine.
So, Susan, don't listen for a second. What do you like? Do you like wine better? Do you like to drink beer better? Where do you fall in that spectrum?
Oh, this is going to be good.
Well, it's funny because Susan's viewed it as her challenge to educate me on beer.
Yeah.
And being a beer drinker, I guess back at university, what I drank then is very different to what I drink now.
Yeah.
So no,
all of us though, so that's okay.
Yeah, and especially on a trip like this into the US, where I'm going from one great craft brewer to another and trying their beers. So no, I haven't. Outside of a bit of Pinot Noir, which of course I was trying when I was here, it's all beer.
Yeah. Yeah, we do okay with Pinot, don't we?
Great.
Yeah, but the Sauv Blanc in New Zealand is like an IPA. I mean, it's like I always describe it that way. Just this really, really bright,
flavorful,
citrus, floral flavor aroma.
Well, and that's one of the really interesting things now with Te Wā coming into hop growing is whether or not, for us, if we grow hops such as Nelson in a different region, are we going to get a different flavour profile? Is it going to be something that brewers like? Is it going to be something they don't like? And there's, some great research happening now in the States with, some of the varieties when they're planting them outside Yakima. What are they doing?
So you said that's sort of how you started, was to grow hops outside of the normal region in New Zealand. But this farm that you have now is in the normal region, and that's okay. That's in the normal region. But you've also mentioned this is just step one.
Mm-hmm.
So through your experiments, did you find that, we're going to buy some farms in other regions because it worked?
So definitely, I mean, the big thing for me is, yes, we can grow them, and they do well, but because we're so brewer-led, we won't do a commercial undertaking somewhere else until we get validation from a brewer.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're looking to this year when we have brewers come down, we'll have hops grown in different regions of New Zealand, and we'll put them in front of them for sensory. And they'll tell us whether or not commercially it makes sense for us to look at growing hops elsewhere.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned even having a lab, when you evaluate them, you're looking at the hop oils, you're maybe looking at like the terpenes, like you're able to see as much as you possibly can the chemical makeup of this.
Yes.
And then relying on the brewer to give you the sensory?
Yes, very much so. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I can look at, compounds coming off a GC, MS, and that says one thing to me, but then I give that hop to a brewer.
Yeah.
And, they take it through their process, and it turns into something completely different. So I think that's where I wouldn't make a decision without brewer input.
Sure. I think that's the right thing to do. But even from a side, now I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so when you did your experiments in different regions, chemically, or oil, I don't know how to say it, did they look completely different in different regions?
Yeah.
Really?
And the sort of the gross, your alphas and your betas and your oil content themselves perhaps didn't vary that much.
Okay.
But individual compounds did. And so that's the thing with hops, there's such a complex mixture, and some of the really important things are just there in such minute amounts.
Right.
That looking at a spectrum, it makes no sense, until it gets into a beer.
I mean, I don't understand how you even do that. I mean, you've got a region that you're dealing with, and then also like how you're growing it and when you're harvesting. It's like all these variables are going on at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean that's what makes it so fun from a science point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, this is almost like one big experiment to me. So
a $20 billion
yeah.
Well, I think we're that's the challenge that we're going to face, because we've got the chemical, we've got the analysis, we've got the sensory.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, somebody's got to fork over some money to take the first investment into a region for a new crop.
Right.
And that's a big deal, right? So if it works, you're an early starter, you're in there first, you do really well. If it fails, then you're the laughing stock. So
sure.
It might take 2 or 3 years for us to work through these trials and decide whether or not another region is good. And in the meantime, we've focused on the Nelson-Motueka area. So our longer-term plans, we're hopeful that other regions will come through. Central Otago is a good potential for us.
Okay.
Central Hawke's Bay, very similar growing conditions to Yakima. So, we're hopeful. We think we can grow volume, but just like with the wine industry, we'll grow the same varietal in Nelson or Marlborough or another region, and it's really standout, sensational in one of those,
right,
but not the other 2 or 3. And same with Pinot Noir or any other sort of crop. And so for us, it's about saying, is there another area that can grow awesome quality hops?
Yeah.
We know we can grow hops. Like, hops will grow.
Hops will grow, but
if you go down the west coast of the South Island, there's, as Susan said earlier, there's the early immigrants, the Irish. They came over, they grew hops. There's wild hops growing down the coast. You can find them.
Oh, nice.
So we know they'll grow.
Yeah.
It's just, are they going to be awesome quality
The
hops?
characteristics, yeah.
Are all of the 400 acres that you're starting with similar terroir, like similar soil, similar sun exposure? Or do you have a mix even at the start?
So geographically, we've got quite a long, skinny farm that's bordered on one side by a river and then hills on the other. So there is actually, even within that 400 acres, we're going to have, different microclimates, and then we've got different soil types. So we've had the whole farm soil mapped, and we've planted, a variety across different soils and across, to see what effect that has.
Okay, so you will get some information even off of this first harvest.
Even off this one, yeah.
Wow. Beer is amazing. How has it been it's been around for so long, and it can be so simple, or it can be so incredibly complex. That we're still studying it and we're still learning about it. We learn more about hops all the time. We learn more about malt all the time. And when I stop and think about it, I sometimes just make fun of myself that I've created this stupid career talking about beer for the last 15 years. But there's still always something to talk about. Beer is so incredible. I tell homebrewers too, they're like, how can I brew beer? Yeah, it's either like making pasta,
right,
or you can be a PhD. Like, it's really, you can go either way.
Right. And it's great that everybody sitting at your bar right now cares as much about the soil content that the hops are grown at that we do.
It's only when we geek out about it, yeah. But it really, there's so much to learn and so much to know all of the time. Just talking about, the more we learn about terpenes. All right, let me ask you this. Can you just, if all else fails, can you rip it all out and grow weed in New Zealand? Is that a thing?
So weed is not legal yet in New Zealand.
Okay.
So
what about exporting?
Yeah. I'm just checking. That's a good fail-safe,
We've got a referendum next year on whether we can grow weed. So
do you
it'll be
really?
An interesting thing.
Okay.
Is it legal there in any other way? Or
not at the moment, no. Medicinal marijuana is just coming in.
Okay.
You just show your government how much money they'll make in tax dollars.
Right.
Have them talk to the people in Colorado.
Yeah.
Just drive. You can't even have to give it away. Like every school budget is like, we can't take any more money.
It's true. Yeah. So I have some friends live in Colorado, and the first year was so successful that the governor for 6 months, don't quote me on the amount of time, but for a bunch of months was like, no more sales tax in the whole state of Colorado for a period of time because they had just raised enough money through weed tax.
Across all retail?
Yeah, they're just no more sales tax.
Wow.
It came back. It just was it was like a little reprieve. It was like, we did so much better than we thought.
You guys are so high.
Turns out everyone's high.
Yeah.
And anyway, so good luck with that.
It's the Mile High State, now in 2 ways.
Yeah. When you say, just because I'm curious now, when you say medicinal, on a federal level, it's legal there?
Yeah, looking at licensing a few institutions to be able to grow medicinal marijuana.
Right.
Yeah.
U.S. is so weird like that because completely illegal federally, yet the states do it, which is not really legal, but totally legal. What a weird...
You can't deposit money you earn from it in a federally insured bank account.
Right.
You gotta have a big safe.
Yeah, you could get raided at any moment, but totally legal, not legal. Legal, not legal. Yeah, it's a new shirt I'm putting out, legal, not legal. If you want to buy that on the Brewing Network.
Google search.
Well, I am excited for you guys. I'm nervous.
So are we.
Yeah. But it sounds like you have your heads on straight, and what a fun project. to, we didn't just fall into it, but in a sense, I mean, did you know, did Terry just reach out to you one day? How did you even come across each other?
So his family that were involved in brewing heard about my trials and they reached out. And,
I see.
You know, it was just a very fortuitous meeting, and you know, he was a great person to get involved, because I mean, you actually need someone who is honestly slightly mad to fundraise a startup.
And here's this ex-famous rugby player, had to be slightly mad. Was he good? Was he a great player?
It was well before my time.
Okay.
So, but and historically, I mean, I've heard that he was good.
I feel like anybody who plays rugby, God, wow.
Well, if you make the All Blacks, you're bloody good.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're the team.
Top the team.
They're the ones.
Yeah.
What a rough sport.
Yeah.
No, probably didn't have any helmet on.
He could still walk,
kind.
and all of his functions still worked.
Yeah,
that's a terrible sport.
So he reaches out to you, and what? Tell me about that day. Like, what's your feel? Here, you're doing these experiments, and this guy, you know, you meet him, and he says, "Hey, I think we should just go for it." Is your mind blown?
A little bit. I mean, at that stage when you're self-funding, you know, a startup, and you know, I've got a young family, and you know, my poor partner's, you know, painting houses to pay for lawyers, and you know, all that boring stuff when you're a company starting out. It was definitely a godsend, and more the freedom to let the vision of Hop Revolution stay true. And I mean, that's been true even as I've got, you know, the investors and, you know, the management team and the board. I've been really fortunate that they've bought into pretty much the vision the whole time, and that's really nice as a founder to have that, because so often it changes as you take on, you know, investment and structure. And everybody who's come on has been fabulous and has added to, you know, to what Hop Revolution is now, and it's definitely a lot different to what I thought. Far more exciting than you know, I believed, and you know, now we've got the people involved who will actually make it happen.
When you put it that way, that you were this startup and you're struggling and you're figuring it out, and you know, maybe a vision that isn't where it is. I just want to take like a deep breath, sigh of relief for you. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, we can do this.
Yeah, Justin will be relaxed for you.
Yeah,
just whatever you need.
You're not relaxed.
Well, I truly think that, you know, Jason and I and the rest of the team will not actually breathe a sigh of relief until we have the hops and bales.
This first harvest,
time. And then I think we'll actually sit back and go, you know, shit, we did it, or gosh, we didn't do it. So, you know, it's looking more and more likely that yes, we will, the closer we get.
It's when a brewer gets the hops in their beer and goes, that's bloody good.
Okay.
Then we'll go,
Yeah. And then you'll take like 2 days off, and you're back at it.
How soon before you're going to need more acreage? Like, is all of your current harvest allotted?
Yeah. So we're not all allotted. No. So what we've taken the view of is, hey, we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, right? So we'll go with a smaller group to start with, and then as the year goes on, and we're a bit more comfortable around volume, then we'll take more on. But for other farms, we've got 3 or 4 other farms actually that we're working on at the moment to secure, and we've got a development plan over the next 2 or 3 years to sort of double and triple, and you know, as most craft brewers do, you know, grow. Yeah. You know, and being demand led. So you know, looking at what we can do, and but yeah, we do have a development plan. We'd like to get up to you know, in the next 3 or 4 years, up to 300 or 400 hectares. So 3 or 4 times the size we are currently,
right?
And go from there, and then grow into other markets as well. We've got some good demand in other countries, you know, including New Zealand, and so go from there.
How long will it take to bring another 400 acres online from when you get the keys to the land?
It's a good 18 months to get all the plants in the ground. Get all the equipment in. So this year with our processing equipment, we're using Wolf equipment from out of Germany. So all that gets ordered in, and you know, it's a good 6 or 9 month lead time to then get it in and get it installed. For our next farm, we might use a combination of Wolf and Danhauer or other equipment. So we've actually got the team coming up as a bit of a scoping study in the next couple of weeks up into Yakima in Idaho, and There's some growers up there who are welcoming us onto the farm to come and have a look.
Oh, cool!
And learn. So yeah, they've been really helpful. And
that's great.
So we'll have a look around and see what see what we can learn. And and also we're bringing down some guys from up here to help us in our harvest next year.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a good bit of collaboration, and people are really helpful to us. When we tell the story, that they're interested to come. We've invited them to our farm as well to come down and look and see, and some of them are keen to do that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I love this. Who do you think? You mentioned other countries interested. Who do you think would be your other biggest interest? And I'm also curious. On top of that, you mentioned like even Russia earlier. And I don't even picture Russia as a beer country, but
whoa, they're making hop vodka.
So we've had people turn up. Say, well, look, we'll buy your whole crop this year.
Oh, right.
From Russia. And
and they come in like kind of like they're with a gun, and it's like a really uncomfortable conversation.
Lovely
giving
people.
You diamonds.
They're like, oh, do you have an election coming up? We'll buy that, and then we're wondering if you have. Sorry, we had to do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it's all right.
Well, you went right for it.
Really good people. We've had a lot of interest from out of Japan and China and the UK and. Scandinavia, it's surprising. It's just
everywhere.
The craft brewing world is, I think, driven from out of the US, right? So if you think of a ripple running across the world, that's what's happening. And Asia Pacific's probably a bit behind. New Zealand's probably a bit behind Australia, and so we've just got this interest that's growing there. But
that's so fun.
Yeah, for us, if we try and do too many things at once, we'll fall over. There's only 10 of us. We're only a small company.
Is that right? 10 of you in the company?
Yeah, and that's including our
driving
machine operators.
I was going to ask. That's exactly what I was going to ask. Yeah. That includes your machine operators.
Yeah.
You guys got to do some hiring. Before March.
Right.
No, we are only a small crew.
We'll be down there.
So Susan and I, and then we've got our operations manager and a couple of others that are coming up. But no, we are only a small team. We're not massive, and we will be growing the team as we go.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of boring. What about warehouse space? You go to Yakima, and all these processing plants have just ginormous warehouse space to keep it cold and all that. So what do you?
Yeah. So
is that part of the whole CapEx program there too?
No, not at the moment. So for us, with cold storage, we're using that with a third party, and of course when our bales come up here, they'll be sitting at Mill 95 until they're drawn down. So
in Idaho,
in Idaho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you'll ship it cold. So you're going to bale it, put it in the fridge, ship it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Put it in the fridge here to be processed.
Yeah. And the bales will be dry, right?
Yeah, the bales will be dry. Yeah. So I think it'll work out really good because it's their off season. So their plant's sitting empty. It's good utilisation of plant. They've got a great facility there, and we can come in and they'll do all our hops just in a few days this year, right? So bang, it's all done.
Was that model just because you didn't want to invest in a pelletizer system?
Yeah, it's a little bit of when you're growing fast, it's how to scale it and where to have it, and so we've looked at the advantages and disadvantages of pelletizing in New Zealand versus pelletizing up in the States. So some of our product will be pelletized in New Zealand for the New Zealand Australia market, but the majority of it will bring up to the States, and we just need to learn really, because some brewers want to come to New Zealand, look and feel. Some are really happy to go to Idaho. The Idaho facility is a beautiful, newish facility,
and they already know what they're doing when it comes to.
The brewers trust them. They've got the lab, they've got the sensory, they've got everything sorted. As has there's other pelletizers in the northern hemisphere that can do that. So, but of course our freight is massively expensive. So with shipping bales. It's about $1 a kilo more expensive to ship them up. So, if we're doing 1,000 kilos, for instance, that's $1 million a year of additional freight rather than sending pallets. So there'll be a point in time where we'll look at that and go, well, does that actually make sense?
Yeah.
But for now, we're really pleased to partner, with experts in that area, and pelletizing, we're not experts. So we just want to focus on growing and the brewery end and use great partners in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question I'm almost afraid to ask, but I want to make sure you've heard of this thing, because I've just heard about this being a real thing. Spontaneous combustion. Have you heard of this, Susan?
I have. I've heard the stories
like
about
humans?
the way.
And I thought that it was a fake thing. I was like, oh, spontaneous combustion. Like, that fucking happened. It turns out that on hop farms, when you're drying and storing hops, that spontaneous combustion is like a serious threat.
Of the hops?
Yeah.
They explode. They don't explode. They spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
They can. They can. I'm knocking on wood for you as I ask the question because I don't want this question to be a jinx.
Yep.
You've heard of this thing, this phenomena.
Yeah, and that's part of the, one of the reasons we looked at this wolf drying system is, the way you condition the hops afterwards lowers that risk.
Okay. Yeah.
Substantially, and I definitely, I've read about the stories about the warehouses in Yakima going up.
Yeah. See, I ask a lot of stupid questions. Beardy right now is flabbergasted that this is a real thing.
How long after the drying process can this happen?
I don't know.
Like, is it hours, days?
It's like during the process.
Once they're in bales, if they haven't been cooled down enough, then basically they just accumulate that heat, and it happens in hay bales as well. So barns can go up in the same process.
So we'll temperature probe them and hold them in cold store for 10 days. If we see the temperature rising, you take them out and you put them to the side.
I see.
So you can track it pretty easily. But no, it's totally a real thing.
It's a thing. Yeah.
And I've heard stories of buildings burning down from in the past.
Yeah. I, in fact, I had talked to some farmers. They're like, we've learned this the hard way over the years. We didn't even understand why it was happening years ago or what the hell was happening because it seemed somewhat random. Mm-hmm. Turns out not random. I'm not saying it's like the most likely thing to happen, but not random. There's a process that happens, and So I don't think anybody in New Zealand smokes anyway. They're a very healthy country, but no smoking on a hop farm. No,
my Aunt Claudia told me that Uncle Carl spontaneous combust, but
but that was different.
She smelled a lot like gasoline after she told me that story.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah,
you got it covered though, right? I mean,
you got this part
Justin's worried.
I am, and like I said, I was hesitant to ask because I'm very superstitious, so I'm not trying to put like that juju out there. I wanted to make sure you're
doing a great job helping them relax.
I'm knocking on the wood. Don't worry. All right. Well, I want to talk about at least one more thing. Beef, can you bring in the gift that I didn't want to break or ruin and made you... because this is the coolest thing. So Jason and Susan showed up, and you're going to have to... You don't mind me doing this on the radio, do you?
No.
Okay.
Are you sure you want her to handle it? She has trouble opening doors.
Well, okay, so... They gave me this very nice gift, and it's an extremely limited edition. Kim, don't look at me like that. It's limited edition. There's not like a million of them or anything. And can you explain I'm going to pull it out so we can show it on the video here. If you're listening on podcast, you're going to have to go to our YouTube page, and then you can check it out. But will you explain what this is for me, Jason?
Yeah, sure. It's a tricky box to get into.
It's super cool, though.
Yeah, this is a Panamu we wanted to give to Justin, for being friendly and welcoming to us into the States, and it's something that we're giving to our foundation partners up here that are helping us get started. And basically, what it is it's greenstone, so New Zealand jade. Most of you will know what jade is. It's formed in the earth, and this particular jade is about 120 million years old in New Zealand. It comes from the west coast of New Zealand, about 3 hours from where our hop farm is. And what's happened is it's been pushed up from the earth and under an area that is very mountainous and got big glaciers. And over time, the glaciers have melted. There's been rivers. The rivers have exposed the Panamu rock, and this particular rock or stone is very sacred in New Zealand. And we wanted to give this as a gift to people that we're connecting with and working with here. And it's sacred to the New Zealand Maori. It's special for forming a relationship, and we've got a stone carver that we know, Bill Matheson.
Check it out.
Well-known carver down on the west coast who worked on this over his winter months for our guys in the US that we're partnering with. So we're really proud to give it to you, Justin. And
you guys clearly don't know me.
Kim's going to wear it out of here.
I am not deserving of such an amazing gift, but I'm so thankful. I think it's the coolest thing.
Goes with my outfit.
Isn't it awesome? And each one they're giving away is carved different. Did you say 100 million years old or something?
Yeah, 120 million years years old.
Good Lord.
Almost as old as Sully.
I was waiting for that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, this is awesome. Wow.
I'm so excited about this. This is potentially the nicest gift I've ever been given. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's
So
such a sweet
outside
thing.
of Justin, it's for head brewers, who are doing a great thing with our craft, and it's a bit of peace in New Zealand, special peace in New Zealand actually. And when you come down one day,
Yeah.
you can come and meet Bill.
I will wear it with pride. I would love to meet him. Hand carved beardy. Don't get your shit all over it.
It's just going to go right in here. Too bad it's not a hop grenade.
Then we'd be sued.
There'd be a conversation.
Jason's like, actually, the first 20 were hop grenades. We had to burn them. Damn it. That's awesome. I'm putting it on now. I got to take my headphones off. I love this. I think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. It's so kind of you.
thoughtful.
Isn't that? Look, it adjusts and everything.
That's got to be a hard shape to carve. Oh, your head's too fat.
My head's too big. There we go. There we go. Let me get there.
You
Don't
could've
break
taken
it.
The glasses
Yeah.
off.
He's good at putting necklaces on.
Yeah, right.
Apparently.
And you guys were telling me that Kiwis don't really wear jewelry, but they'll wear this. This is like
like Kiwi males and a lot of females. To be honest, there's a lot of really special punamu that's been passed down for generations in family.
Wow.
And it's if you look it up, you'll see there's a good bit of history. But it looks good on you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I like it. You guys are so kind, so generous. This is very cool. I had to share that with you listeners. You can go to our YouTube page and check it out and see my stone. Maybe you'll see me wearing it at the next event.
Wow, you might actually be important, Justin.
See that? Somebody, you guys, you did it. You made me feel important. Which
at least for a moment.
That happens. I'm 41 now. It's happened about twice in my life. Yeah. Yeah, almost 42. Anyway.
Oh, that's next month.
Yeah, shut up, Beardy. You can go to hoprevolution.co.nz if you want to check out more. You can learn about a little bit more about the story and the hop farm over at Hop Revolution. That's hoprevolution.co.nz, or you can just, of course, Google Hop Revolution. How did the U.S. get like a monopoly on .com? Why can't everybody just be
We
.com?
invented the internet.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
We can't
We're
just
gonna
let
do this,
everyone
and everybody
use.
else has to do something else.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're America.
Everyone else has to do extra abbreviations. It's very strange that we're like that. Hop Revolution. Go check them out. You can learn more about it. And thank you both so much for being in the studio with
awesome.
us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow your story now. From now until March, we're going to check in with you because now I'm really curious. I love how forthcoming you are with what's happening, and that you're new at this, and you want to see what's up. So is that cool? We can just keep checking in. And,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right.
And please look out for the spontaneous combustion. I mean, because that's top of mind right now.
I get so nervous about these things.
I'm so nervous.
Well, we only have a few things left to do. I'm going to take a quick break. Will you hang out with us for the end of the show?
That would be great.
We
yeah.
just kind of dick around and have another beer and have some fun. It'll just be for a few minutes. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to find out the result of my Twitter game.
Yeah, I made it better. So
you bettered it
Yeah.
from how I bettered it?
Yeah, you bettered me, then I bettered you.
All right.
We'll see
Sounds
how he
good to me.
feels.
Hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
This is Matt Brynolfson from Firestone Walker Brewing Company, and you're listening to The Session on the Brewing Network.
All right, welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm having fun tonight. Hey, we were talking all about those IPAs, Beardy. IPAs everywhere.
Yeah, can't get enough of them.
Well, have you learned about the new Spark Ale from the 21st Amendment?
Oh, that sounds like a great IPA.
It's their newest year-round beer. It's not an IPA. It's a sparkling rosé ale.
IPA.
See, even Jason could get behind that. It's got a little wine to it, a little sparkling rosé. It's essentially a hybrid between a cider and a beer, and they brew it with apple cider juice and grain-based sugar. Then they back sweeten with peach, cranberry, and cherry juice. Not really a cider, but it sure tastes like one, and it's the perfect beer for summer or any other time, I think. It's also gluten-reduced with less than 10 parts per million for those of you who are looking for a good ale alternative to big malty beers.
I was actually looking for it this weekend.
Yeah?
And
Sold
Safeway
out?
was sold out.
Mm-hmm. Popular beer. It's good stuff. Tully, have you had it?
I'm sorry, I just woke up. What?
It's good, yeah.
I just came in from New Zealand. What?
Go to 21st-amendment.com. You can check it out. It's a great new beer. Is this gluten thing a thing in New Zealand? Is it the new? Is it everywhere?
I think we're as bad as
Yeah.
you guys are definitely with it.
Low
Yeah.
carb, gluten-free, calorie reduced.
All of the things. Kiwis are basically San Franciscans on an island, I think. Yeah.
Hey, is there like a big competition with Australia? Do you guys look at each other like, fucking Australia? I mean, is that going on down there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You know, that's what, because I just imagine you're like right next to each other, like Oregon and Washington and California, like all tight right there.
I think the way they sort of liken it is to Americans and Canadians. So,
Okay.
you know, we're probably the Canadians, obviously, in the relationship. The
nice ones.
The nice
The
ones,
better
the
people.
little guys,
Yeah.
you know.
Cleaner, nicer, better in most respects.
Can as many things kill you in New Zealand as they can Australia?
No
Another-
way.
another
No
good-
snakes.
Really?
No,
Oh.
no snakes down there.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing poisonous.
Wow.
All good.
No powdery mildew and no snakes.
Yeah.
Wow.
No predators at all.
It's the safest place on earth. You're both born and raised in New Zealand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's the embarrassing thing. Now I was actually born in Australia, so
Uh-oh. How long did you live there?
for 6 months.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Kiwi parents, so it's their fault I was born there.
Yeah. And did you always intend to be a plant scientist? Did you have like a previous life, or you just went to school for that? And
I was in biotech, so I just found lab work pretty boring. So field work, getting outside is much more exciting.
okay, all right. What about hobbies for you two? What do you do in New Zealand?
Well, I used to run a lot, but as most runners, you blow your ankle or blow your knee or something, so I don't do that. I swim. We do a bit of diving.
Okay.
Kiwis like to do a lot of DIY type stuff, so we're doing up some old cottages, and my
Nice.
wife and I do a bit of landscaping and, all of the things that are not essential in the DIY part. And,
Yeah.
but
Always
we've
up to
got kids
something.
and motorbiking and all of those things.
What about skiing? My son and I want to go down there and go skiing because you can go
Great.
skiing during the summer.
Great
Our
skiing.
summer.
Yep.
Snow
Go down to
skiing?
Queenstown.
Yeah.
Great skiing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You have like
Picture
these
it
snow
sunshine all the
fields,
time.
like in the middle of like a lava field. You'll have like this place called Treble Cone I've heard about,
Yeah.
which is like this.
Beautiful.
It's like you're on the moon and there's a swath of like snow and people are skiing.
Yeah. No, it's incredible skiing.
And do you have the European vacation model where like anything less than 6 weeks is ridiculous? No one ever talks about that. Is that a thing? Right? Like in America, 2 weeks vacation, you're like, sweet, I got some vacation.
Right, yeah.
In
I'll get that
Europe,
in 3 years.
in Europe, that's like being in prison and only having 2 weeks of vacation.
And your employer still makes you feel like shit for using the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You going to take that time out?
What's the-
New Zealand's funny like that. Like for us, Christmas time, summer, all the kids are at school, so this is mid-December through to late January. That's a pretty special family sort of time, and everyone goes back home and has a Christmas, and we tend to all have that 3 weeks off.
Okay.
But now more so, we're getting the European model, which is having August off as well. So a bit of July, a bit of August.
Yeah.
If you've got a good boss, push it a little bit longer.
Right.
Come to the States for 7 weeks and go and see some craft brewers. But no, we are starting.
Because we're
to
doing
get that more-
business.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the lifestyle balance, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to sort of work a little bit less or work from home or do whatever. So
Good.
Yeah.
I like to hear that. Okay. All right. Well, we just have a couple of things to wrap up here, including our Twitter game. So
Yes.
How did you modify it, Beardy?
So, yours was kind of vague, which
Okay.
is like friends needing to know friend things.
Your name is vague.
And you're like
you
wanting
came up
to
with
make it
that
about
also.
you.
Versus the color one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus what's my favorite
What's my
color?
favorite? That is like the number game.
So what did you ask?
So I said, what is a secret that friends should know about each other to validate their friendship?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought we'd get some more nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Fun answers
Now I'm
here.
worried. Okay. And
So this-
did we get some good ones?
Yeah. So, and you're going to have to tell us the answer about Sully to each of these.
Like, I probably know them.
Boy.
Let me get it pulled up
You
here.
signed that document, by the way.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still sponsoring the show, because I have to essentially pay you off.
Because your bulletproof NDA.
Right. He's a friendship NDA.
Yeah.
TN Brewer says that deep down inside he really loves hazy IPAs.
That's about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will
okay.
be a secret that I take to the grave.
Right. Yeah, you would never admit that.
Catherine says how they prefer to spoon.
How
the friends prefer to spoon.
Like inside spoon or outside spoon,
Yeah,
I guess
who's
would be
big
that.
spoon? Yeah.
Okay.
Joe Homebrewer says, a true friend you can trust with the hiding place of your porn stash in case you die unexpectedly and can come and collect it before anyone finds it.
So, okay, here's
Is that a thing anymore?
I want to talk about this for a second because I brought this up in a different way. First of all, nobody has a porn stash anymore.
Right.
But I brought up on the air once that you have to have a friend who has your passwords.
Yes.
To come and delete your history, basically. I read an article about this once where it's like...
Swipe the hard drive.
Yeah, and I was like... Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
How sad that I'm that friend for you.
Bevo has all my passwords, and it's like, listen, before anybody finds out what a creep I am, you got to go in and delete my history online.
I have a big rare earth magnet, Justin. I could just walk by your computer and just brick it if that's what you need.
So, and I brought this up, and JP was like, what do you need that for? And I'm like, you're full of shit right now.
Right.
If you don't have creepy stuff in your history, you are lying to yourself and me.
Maybe Taryn's more creepy, so he's not worried about it.
Yeah. I think he was like, I use incognito mode. Okay.
Yeah, that works.
That works.
That
What does that mean?
Right. Anyway. Okay, well, I mean, I like this answer, except that, like, it's very 1987.
Yeah.
With the porn stash.
Right.
Like
Sully's generation.
I still have a collection of VHS porn tapes, so it's not I mean, I completely get this. I'm channeling this guy right now.
Sully, be honest, they're Betamax.
Betamax.
Yeah.
Interesting you said Betamax.
As a friend, he would know that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Good one, Sully. Okay.
Austin says, in Chechnya, we have no secrets. So we have no friends. Only sadness and beards.
In Chechnya, secret too expensive. We only have sadness.
Right. One secret for the whole country, not really secret.
Yeah. Secret is, guess what? You're going to die tomorrow.
Right. You're welcome.
Okay.
Huel says, something regarding botched circumcision.
Oh. That's the whole... Was that a complete sentence, or you paraphrased?
He ended it with a question mark.
Okay.
It's like very specific. Like, he might be talking to himself there.
We know something about Huel, I think.
I do not have a friend that close that
that
I would know about that.
Yeah.
I do not have a friend that close. I have some close friends. Mm-hmm. Not that close.
They had good circumcisions.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Beverly, what? Beeve?
I didn't say anything.
I thought you were about to chime in on that.
No.
Is Sam's circumcision
Absolutely
okay?
not.
Yeah.
Everything is fine with,
On a 1 to
with
10.
the exception
Let's
of
talk
the
more
size
about
of
that.
his testicles.
He does have very funny enough. I do know about my friend's testicles because that's always been a topic of conversation, just not the rest of the thing.
The thing.
Well, whenever you want to take your friendship to the next level, you know.
Yeah. All right.
What you need to ask Sam.
What else we got? That it?
That's it. I edited for briefness.
I'm glad you did. For brevity?
Yeah, that too.
Okay. Let's see if I want to get rid of any of these. I'm going to get rid of porn stash because that's just not modern enough.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going to...
Get with it, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
You're on Twitterverse.
Seriously, put those sticky pages in the garbage.
That was unnecessary.
I mean...
Yeah, don't throw them away, Justin.
Was that what you meant?
Clean your keyboard.
That leaves us with 4. I like that Beardy actually loves hazy IPA. That one was Beardy specific.
Yeah, that must be very deep down because I'm not even aware of that.
I'm going to leave that
part
there.
of it.
How to spoon? I think, yeah. If you have a good friend, you could know that about them.
You could guess that. That's only a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, true. But a good friend would have more chance.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Other
If you're a good friend, yeah.
Different kinds of spoon.
Like, for example, Sully's clearly a big spoon. Except when he's feeling...
Even with you? Because there's a bit of a height difference.
I'm actually versatile. So I'm telling you that right now.
I was just going to say...
We talked about this years ago.
Except sometimes when Sully's feeling a little down, he's a little spoon.
Okay, so he has preferences.
Yeah.
Different times. It's mood dependent. Got
Or
it.
you could be a no.
Exactly.
You could be a no spooner.
You could be a no
Could be a
okay.
third.
Actually, I happen to know for a fact, not by my own experience, but by a tale told to me, that Beardy is definitely a big spoon. He shared I had Beardy and my other, y'all know Bad Rock, Adam out in Colorado.
Good dude.
He helps me at the Great American Beer Festival at I think it was there or Homer Conference, and they shared a room together, 2 separate beds, and Beardy had passed out drunk in his bed, and Adam later came and went to sleep in his own bed, and at some point in the night, not too much longer, felt a large hairy presence up against his back, and it was Beardy cuddling up to him, big spooning. And Adam's a big guy, by the way.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's 6'6", maybe 6'5",
at least.
And Beardy big spoons him. Adam wakes up right away, gets up, moves to Beardy's bed. Beardy wakes up the next morning like, why am I over here?
Yeah, I'm on the wrong side of the room.
Wait, so you got up in the middle of the night,
went to the bathroom,
changed beds,
and then spooned.
So when I went to bed,
none of this was like.
When I went to bed, Bad Rock wasn't there, and so the bed was empty, and I'm still half asleep or whatever. And I don't remember any of it at all, other than waking up the next morning on the wrong side of the room.
Bevo's air quoting, "I'm asleep."
Yeah. And at home, I'm the big spoon because my wife's a foot shorter than me, so that would just be weird.
Apparently, size doesn't matter to you.
We
You're
all
big
learned
spoon
something.
no matter what.
We all learned something that night.
Yeah.
I'm equal opportunity big spoon.
Just hearing this story from Adam, too, who's just a giant, it was hilarious.
You have
to
no
me.
idea what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. He apparently woke up in the best spooning situation of his life.
Right.
But then chose an empty bed for some reason.
Yes.
Not sure why.
Okay, so I'm leaving How to Spoon in there. I'm going to leave in Chechnya, we have no secret. And then finally, that you should know about your friend's botched circumcision if you're truly a friend. So the question was, if you're truly a friend, what secret should you know about your friend? We all vote. I expect our guests to vote today too. I will read off the 4 and just go ahead and raise your hand for whichever one you vote for. Okay, the secret is that Beardy actually loves hazy IPAs. Raise your hand. Okay.
Not anybody here even believes that shit.
That you should know how your friend likes to spoon if they're truly your friend. All right, we got one from Bevo over there. Okay.
I feel like that's important information.
Yeah. In Chechnya, we have no secrets. They're too expensive.
I like that.
Yeah. That looks like the winner. Just so you know, though...
I'm going with the porn thing. Is that still there?
I know I scratched that one out. Yeah.
So he brings it
you
back.
You would have had to go with botched circumcision.
I'll do that one.
On that one. Our winner...
It's related.
You do know Justin.
Yeah. Our winner this week is Chechnya, ladies and gentlemen.
Good job, Austin.
Yeah,
Bringing Chechnya back.
There we go. Maybe I should send Austin one of the only Hop Grenade New Zealand hop hats in existence.
The rest are in Chechnya.
Yeah, because we have more, right? I get to keep mine. Didn't you bring a couple more?
There's 2 sitting over here.
Do you want one, Beardy, or can I give one away?
I don't need 2.
Yeah.
But
does anybody else in here want one? Nothing fits your giant. We're going to send one to Chechnya, not the country, the person.
Good job, Austin.
Yeah. But, Austin, you have to defend the Hop Grenade everywhere you go. You have to say, it's not really Hop Revolution. It's going to be a long conversation every time you...
There will be a script. Yeah, Bevo will send you a script.
And don't sue us.
Yeah.
You can't sell it on eBay because it's worth a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
None of that.
Not as rare as my necklace, but rare.
Yeah. Do you have to sign the hat with a written authorization?
Yeah.
To exist?
I might have to put TM all over it. We'll have to do that. Okay. Is our business done?
I sure hope so.
I feel like it is. Did you do the ending credits again?
You said we don't do that anymore.
Well, I guess not when JP's not here.
Fine, I'll have some for next week.
Okay. Perfect. We're off next week.
Yes.
We're actually going up to Hop and Brew School.
Yeah.
So we're going to learn even more about hops, which is exciting. I've never gotten to go before. I'm going to do that
week for you.
Yeah, it's a hop week, and then I'm going to Moscow's wedding. Moscow's getting married.
What?
That's right.
Yeah, you guys remember Moscow? He used to produce the
From
show.
olden times.
Yeah, Moscow from olden times. Now from the Sour Hour, that other show here on the Brewing Network. Yeah, he's getting married. It's like an 18-year-old girl or something.
He must have found the most patient woman in the universe.
I think he found someone like that just won't ask any questions. You know.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, she's 18, right, Bevo? She's like close to that.
She's like 25.
25. She's a lovely young lady.
Yes.
And they're getting married. And so I'm going to Hop and Brew School. Then I'm driving to Beardy's going with me. Beardy's my date.
Really? Where's he getting married?
Up at his parents' estate.
Wow. Well, there you go.
In Bellingham. So I'll be up in the Washington area. And then I might scoot over to Idaho. Where you guys are your hop process. Not that I'm going there specifically, but I might shoot over to Idaho a little bit, and then drive back down.
You think the bunker's got that in her?
Man, that bunker just keeps on going. She just leaves little pieces behind. I just took another little trip, and what fell off of her this time?
The step? Did you replace that yet?
I did not replace a step yet. What I did do was when I went on my trip this weekend, I put the sledgehammer in the RV so I could try to fix my step that got broken.
Are you just going to hit it out every time with the sledgehammer?
No, it just got bent because Kevin, my GM here, parked my RV in a ditch when we were leaving Melvin. So I got parked in a ditch in Wyoming, and it bent my step, and I think I just have to hammer it back out to get it right.
Sounds like it's going to work.
Yeah. Was that his first time driving the bunker?
Yes. Yeah.
Will it be his last?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't call her fragile, but you got to know how to handle her. I think what's about to fall off now, though, is my awning, the whole side awning.
Oh.
And by think, I mean I know, because the bottom post has come removed from the RV itself. It's just sort of dangling.
So it's just hanging by the canvas on the top?
Yeah, but it looks difficult to take off, so I'm just going to let gravity do it.
You have a big umbrella policy for everything?
Yeah. Don't worry.
Okay,
Who's at fault when you kill the car behind you when the awning falls off on the freeway?
Insurance, Beardy, insurance. It's fine.
But if you don't stop, how do they know?
See, Beardy, he sends me this text the other day. He climbs under his RV, and he's like, I just found out that the gas tank looks loose. It fell off its straps, and the shock mount weld came undone, and the airbags don't work. And I was like, man, that's why I don't climb under my RV. You just
head in the sand.
Fuck yeah. And he's like, well, then I'll just get stuck somewhere. I've never gotten stuck anywhere. You just let shit fall off.
I got you unstuck from somewhere when we were caravanning.
That's fine. I didn't have to do anything.
True story.
It worked out.
Point is, I didn't have to do anything.
Right. But who's going to unstick me?
You're riding along. Whatever happens, you fix it.
No, but in my RV, I'm fixing my RV because I don't have you to sit behind me with your broken RV and get me out of the problem.
Well, you can go ahead and spend your time fixing it. How well did that treat you? You end up getting the wrong airbags.
Well, that was a whole thing. Yeah. So
what? Sounds like a Twitter game.
I put the wrong airbags in, and they are currently holding the RV up.
Okay.
How long they're going to do that for is a question.
So I will say this in all seriousness. I don't know if I'm just super lucky or if my philosophy just happens to work, but if I just ignore shit, it kind of works out. It's fine.
You're like even Steven guy.
Like, I change the oil. Mm-hmm. I put air in the tires.
I do those two things.
I drive down the road. And usually where I get somewhere and something's missing, but it's not important. Like, half of the exhaust is gone. Like, the exhaust is gone.
See, you don't have to pass smog. I live in California, and because it's gas, I still have to pass smog every 2 years, which is bullshit.
No, I'm a diesel polluter. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They're like,
Black cloud.
We're not smogging that.
Right.
Yeah.
I did it wrong.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
But, I mean, I take care of mine, and mine's watertight. You have to drill drain holes.
I only drive mine in the summer. It's fine. Oh, yeah. It's not water. That's true. So mine fills up in the...
You have a pool seasonally.
In the front bed. and I couldn't really find the leak, so I just drilled a hole in the bottom so that it leaks, so that it drains out. Why does everybody make things so complicated? Just there are easier ways.
I mean,
to do
your
this.
walls are kind of sagging in. You're getting less and less square footage as
Correct.
the years go by.
Are you living on the street in this? Are you down in Berkeley where I see a bunch of campers?
It looks that way. It looks the same.
Yeah.
But it just runs so good.
Are you asked to move along when you stop at a rest stop? They're like, sir, you can't live here. You have to keep moving.
They ask him at In-N-Out. He can't even park at In-N-Out.
Right. Yeah, people, it's like, it's parked in front of my house right now. The neighbors, they don't love it.
I'm sure they hate it.
I don't always park in front of the house, but like I'm using it.
You're like that guy.
I know, yeah. It's fine. Yes. So anyway, yes, it's going to make the whole trip. I don't know what will be gone when we get back, but it will make the trip.
Most of it will make the whole trip.
Yeah. Eventually, that's what it'll be. It's one of those van fronts with like the whole camper on the back.
Yeah.
There will come a day when I'm just driving the van.
Yeah,
It became a convertible.
In the back's a convertible.
You just got a sunroof.
You're that guy.
That will happen.
It's fine.
I can't wait.
But you know what? For the price I paid, it's good. You would
You've
spend
gotten
money
your
on that
money's
thing.
worth. Yeah.
Hell yeah! I think I've had it for like 5 years now, and still, look, the AC works, the refrigerator works.
I didn't even know you had this. You kept this secret from me.
Oh, we should go on a trip, Sully.
You don't want to stay in that thing.
Bring Nico. He loves me, and then he'll love me even better when he sees my RV.
Actually, Nico loves RVs. He's a big RVer. I mean,
This is my way in. This is finally Nico's gonna like me.
You have to sit in the front seat, though, because you get really seasick in the back.
Yeah. Remember those air shocks that I replaced? Justin has not. And so his whole thing just flows over all of the road.
Don't be hungover in that thing.
No.
That's true. Kim Shimke had the worst hangover of her life, and then we had to drive over the mountain pass of Yosemite, the windy road.
Yep.
She spent most of that time in the bathroom.
Well, it's not only rickety, but it's loud and it's hot.
Yeah.
And it smells bad. It's like all of these things.
I also clean
say
mine.
It smells bad.
It smells pretty bad.
It smells. It smells.
There's a smell.
It has
there's
an
a
aroma,
scent.
but it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's bad.
I mean, and maybe it's a small thing, but my brakes have never caught on fire.
That was one time, and it
Almost killed JP.
It almost killed JP. It was a small fire.
It was centrally located at one wheel. It wasn't a
Correct.
RV-wide
It was
fire.
a small fire, and in my defense, I had a fire extinguisher ready for just that scenario.
Was the fire extinguisher charged? Did it work?
Mostly. It kind of sputtered out a little bit, but since it was a small fire, it worked fine.
You had just that for the brake fire? That was it? That's
Yeah. And in fact,
that's a thing?
It did put a little fear of God into JP because on our very next trip, I had to stop at the auto parts store on the way down for like a battery or something, whatever else was broken. JP took it upon himself to go in and buy a new fire extinguisher and put it in the RV.
Right, because you used the last fart of it on the brake fire.
Yeah, and he was like, you don't have to reimburse me. I'll pay it out of my own pocket because I'm going on this trip with you. So,
Yeah.
All right, well, listen, the bunker's fine,
Okay.
and everything will be fine.
I'm
And
happy to take my RV.
No, I like mine. I
Okay.
like it.
You like the risk.
She's road ready. Yeah, I like the adventure. So we're going to stay in casino parking lots on the way up.
Okay.
Because I love me some casinos.
Great view.
Maybe we'll stay at Cheetah's for one night. Is that what it's
Centerfold?
called? That one?
Yeah.
Cheetah's is different. That one's in Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry, we'll do the
We'll have
circuit.
lunch at casinos and stay at Centerfolds and Cheetah.
Actually, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You have to cover this fully. I mean, you have to just overpost. I've got to follow this.
I'm going to. In fact,
What's your social security number? Because I want to take out a life insurance policy.
Right, yes.
And just,
You probably should.
Yeah.
There will be some video components of this trip, both of our trip and Hop and Brew School, and then we'll send social media stuff to Kim. If
Kim,
you-
you're not going?
If you remind me.
Yeah, Kim, you want to come?
No, absolutely never.
Are you
I've
sure?
done it enough.
There's an extra bed.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
I
learn how to
tempting. Very
I'll let you sit in the
tempting.
passenger seat for your motion sickness.
You can ride up front.
I'm not hearing maybe at all.
What do I do when you're in the strip clubs?
obviously, watch the RV for us and make sure no homeless people sleep in it.
Yeah, we can't lock the door, so someone has to stay in there.
What do you think, the lock works?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here, shall we? I want to thank our guests once more, Hop Revolution, Susan and Jason. Thank you so much for being here. It was really a pleasure to meet you in person and have you come tell your story.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
I am looking forward to following this adventure that you're on. So, listeners, stay tuned. I'll keep checking in with Hop Revolution and find out how things are going.
If you need any help harvesting, you can call Justin in March.
Yeah.
Bring the RV down.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, you don't even have to put me up.
We got a couple tubes of silicone. We'll make that thing watertight. We'll float it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it'll harvest hops. That thing does it all. I'll just drive down the field.
Yeah, I'll stand on the roof with some scissors.
That's me drive by. Yeah. It'll be perfect. All right, we are off next week. It's Labor Day weekend. Go out and do something fun and enjoy yourselves. I'll be at a wedding.
Is there an open bar? There's an open bar, right?
Gotta be. Yeah.
No, Labor Day is the day after the wedding.
Oh, it is. That's true.
Yeah.
Or did they do that thing where they like homebrewed a beer for it?
I was going to say the only way that there's an open bar for the Moskowitz family is if Scott got beer donated, I'm sure. So he probably called all the brewers that he knows. Which is like 4 of them.
So, Justin, Burning Man this year.
If there's Chuckanut there.
No, I would be there right now.
Yeah. What's going on?
Took the year off. I took last year off, too.
Okay.
I'm on. I go through cycles. I'm on my no cycle.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Susan, you say you're an old punk. You'd probably like Burning Man.
It looks heaps of fun. You're right.
It's fun, but
it's a hot year this year.
I go through cycles, and yeah, I'm off my drug phase right now, so I figure I'd take a couple of years off.
Right? Yeah.
What Justin meant to say.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
When he's sober,
you're on a cleanse right now before your next big heroin kick.
That's right. Yeah. No, I'm not doing the heroin kick till like I'm 78 or so.
You think you're going to make it that long?
When I'm on the last... Well, whenever the last leg is. Whenever I see the
writing
probably
on the
not
wall.
a light, but the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
That's when I start the heroin.
Okay.
Yeah. Time to do it. I'm also going to found... you should talk to your investors. You just float this out there, guys. I'm going to found a retirement home for people who like to party. Like, what's with this boring... Like, we're going to play checkers all the time? No. Talking... booze, bar nights, karaoke, drugs, sex, all of it. You know?
Yeah. Why not?
Why go to these awful retirement homes, right?
Maybe that's what the winner gets when they win the bingo tournament.
They get all those things, yeah.
They get one night in the penthouse.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Just stick with me. You'll see. All right, so we're off next week. Go do something fun, and then we'll be back after that. I think we're back the following week. JP will be your host that day.
Make his grand return.
He will make his grand return, and we'll be talking to the winners of the National Homebrew Competition.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we do that annually. We like to talk to those folks. Is that happening, Bevo? Is that right?
Theoretically. My JP and I are working on this together.
Oh, dear.
My side is taken care of.
Okay. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks to Hop Revolution. Thanks to Sully for being here.
Hey.
Thanks to Kim Shimke for... I don't know.
For my
letting
bottle
you know
of,
I still exist.
Yeah.
For my bottle of whiskey.
Right.
Still get paychecks from you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy, and when